of Zoology, Vidyasagar University, in collaboration with Turtle Survival Alliance India. And our chief patron is our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Shivaji Pratim Boshu. We have with us Professor Satyajit Shaha, who is the Dean, Faculty of Science. He'll be the inaugurator, and we have very three bright speakers for today, Mr. Nathan, Dr. Jayadatta, and Ms. Diyasha ma'am. So they will be speaking. And why did we start with this topic was that a very important quote from Paul Oxton is that only when the last of the animals, horns, tusks, and skins have been sold will mankind realize that money can never buy back our wildlife. We know that many important species are getting declined, and according to the ICN list, Red List 2004, it has been found that out of the evaluated species, 25% of mammals have been threatened, 13% of birds threatened, 42% of reptilians, and 23% of amphibians. So this is a huge number, and it's really alarming. So what we want to show you is this is a glimpse of our organizing committee in brief, and the program in a nutshell has also been circulated. So without delay, I would do all the needful. And the first thing which we will be covering today is the webinar message. I have to show it to you once again. Our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Shivaji Pratim Boshu, he has sent a welcome message to us, which I'll be displaying once again. With the permission of the President, I'm reading it. Sir says that it is indeed a matter of delight that the Department of Zoology, Vidyasagar University, in collaboration with Turtle Survival Alliance Tsa India, is going to organize a one-day international webinar entitled Zoological Research with Threatened Higher Chordates, emphasis on Chelonians, to be held on January 19th, 2022 on the occasion of the celebration of 75 years of independence. I commend the endeavor of the organizers and hope that the deliberations of the webinar will definitely enrich one and all. I convey my best wishes for the success of the same. Thank you so much, sir, for giving us this welcoming and encouraging words. And after that, we will go on to the presidential address. I'll ask Professor Sushanta Kumar Chakraborty, who is the president of the organizing committee and the head department of zoology, to kindly present his presidential address. Sir.
সুশান্ত বাবু অ্যাক্সিডেন্টালি মনে হয় লেফট হয়ে গেছেন, দেখে নাও তো।
Okay. I think he has some network problem, but we can wait for a few minutes. Till that time, let us, okay, he's there. HOD sir, Professor S.K. Chakraborty, he's with us, and I just summon you, sir, to start with your presidential address. And I'm so happy that he's an eminent scientist and ecologist and conservationist in himself, and he has a big 20 to 30 years of research in his bag. And especially speaking that the unique title of this webinar was formulated by him only, by the support of all others as the vice presidents of this webinar, such as Professor Jayantakumar Kundu and BC Patra. We also have my other conveners, Dr. Biplav Mondal and Dr. Sagar Acharya. So, sir, can we have your presidential address, please, Professor Chakraborty? You are muted, sir.
Thank you, Priyanka, madam. I'm now audible? Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So anyway, it is a very nice time for the Department of Zoology, Vidyasagar University. Right now, we have been assembled here in connection with a very challenging seminar, I must mention. in the realm of the subject zoology and biology or whatever it may be, you see a new term has been emerged recently with a very popularity. That is the wildlife. Wildlife was there long back, and it was there also during the time of our independence. But during the last 3 or 4 decades, it has assumed a large momentum in the arena of different spheres of our human civilization. Why? Because in a very not a brief and precise manner, I can sum up that statement that our very existence, the survivability of the human civilization, is entirely connected with that, exclusively directly connected with the wildlife. So in that sphere, we try to develop a seminar theme in our departmental committee meeting in the Department of Zoology in consultation with my all esteemed colleagues, and we chalked out that title, that Zoological Research on the Threatened Higher Chordates. For your information, Madam Priyanka has tried to give you an impression that most of our life support systems, most of our living organisms of the world have been dwindling just like anything during the last few centuries. Most of them have been threatened, and mostly the charismatic species, mostly the indigenous species, and mostly the endemic species are at the brink of their extinction. So many animals and plants were there in India which have experienced the extinction. Off and on, we used to use the term cheetah, cheetah in the newspaper, but that was extinct. And in the year 1952, the last cheetah was detected in India. So I do not like to elaborate all those things in detail. I just want to impress upon you that the wildlife has assumed a new momentum in respect of its study, in respect of its protection, in respect of its conservation, and in every sphere of the human life. In that respect, we have tried to emphasize on this seminar that some threatened chordates, higher chordates, that higher chordates include the mammals, that your birds, that amphibia, that your reptiles, and all those things, excluding the fishes. So with again a specialization with that chelonia or the chelonia, a very interesting group of wild animals, but we do not know that much of the chelonia. But we are acquainted with the chelonia since our childhood. Off and on, we used to see the chelonia in the newspaper, in our localities, in the markets, and so on. So the main theme is that in what way we can integrate. So far as the wild threatened chordates are concerned, not only chelonia is a very important group of the aquatic reptiles, but in addition to that, one of our speakers will deliver on another very interesting topic on the fishing cat. So in that way, considering these 3 different lectures on different topics, we had an aim to enlighten our students, mainly the young generation people, with regard to the importance, the necessity, the different conservation development, methodology, etc., with regard to this 3 group of animals. First of all, I just like to clear, we know so many simple things in a simple way, but it is very difficult to explain if you ask properly. Suppose, as for example, what does it mean by the wildlife? What is the concept about the wildlife? So it is very difficult to establish the fact, wildlife. Wildlife is that life which is beyond the control of the human intervention, in human control. Human being will not be there to control their everything, their feeding, their reproduction, their shelter, their living, anything. So again, another question is confronted with the scientists, that is why plants should be considered as the wildlife, whether plants should be considered as the wildlife or only animals should be the wildlife. So again, the question is very simple, but answer is very difficult. But the answer is that the plants should not be treated as the wildlife. Why plants should be not considered as the wildlife? They are also beyond the control of they are the control of the human being. Each and every sphere of the world with the plants are under the control of the human being, under the control management of the forest department, under the administration, for their sowing, for their fertilization, for their nursery, for their growth, for their pruning, for the cutting, everything. So main submission is that wildlife means only the animals which are beyond the control of the human being, and those wildlife are right now under the brink of extinction. What I have just mentioned to you, the great Indian bustard, within a very short time, our Indian people will experience the fate that great Indian bustard will no more in India. Only 120 species are still available, specimens are still available in India, out of millions, once upon a time. Similarly, cheetah has already been extinct. So I do not like to elaborate all those things in detail, but the main thing is that why the people should be attracted. How, in what way we can develop the awareness? How, in what way you can develop the awareness with regard to the importance of the wildlife? We must know that thing. If we can convince the human being that the wildlife has got its direct connection with the human civilization to ensure the survivability of the human being, then only people will understand the importance of the wildlife. In what way? Because you know, in the prey-predator relationship, in the trophic interaction, in the food chain pattern, those wildlife are instrumental to maintain the ecological stability of our ecosystem. That is number one. Number two, you know very well from your own experience, so many birds are there who control the pace of the agricultural field. Number three, those birds are also there who produce millions and millions tons of fertile fecal matter, which enrich our agricultural system and aquaculture system with those of that fertility. Third thing, you see so many snakes are there, reptiles. They control the rodents. In that way, they maintain the balance in the agroeconomic system. I do not like to elaborate all those things in detail. My submission is that the wildlife are connected with the human interest, directly or indirectly. With the ignorance, if we do some wrong to the wildlife, making their life threatened, then our civilization will not, our next generation will not at least give us forgive us. So in that respect, I just like to sum up that Chelonia, you know, Chelonia is a very interesting group of animals in the aquatic environment, mainly the turtles. So what about the turtles and what about the tortoise? Very simplistic way, I just like to mention to my students, mature students of the zoology and life science of the audience, that the turtles represent the land Chelonians, and turtles represent land Chelonians, and turtles represent the aquatic Chelonians. Okay, so aquatic Chelonians are of two types: marine Chelonians and your freshwater Chelonians. I have seen in India 4 different group of marine Chelonians are there. What are those marine Chelonians? Those marine Chelonians are the you're named as your what? So anyway, the tortoise, you know, order. Okay, how many species are there? This is the information. 295 species of Chelonians are present in the world, belong to the 14 families, with some living on land. The Chelonians that live on the land, most in India, the stages, you know, olive bridle turtles, green turtles, leatherhouse turtles, hogshell turtle, all those things are the marine turtles. And besides that, so many turtles are there in the aquatic system. I have some information. I do not like to load you with all those information. Speakers will be there. They will elaborate these things in more detail. I must submit with the submission that in what way these Chelonians play their role to sustain the ecosystem. You know, if you study the freshwater turtles in the aquatic system, if you observe their feeding habit, then you will find that they have a devastating foraging strategy. What devastating? They bulldoze the soils under the water in order to scoop up their food materials and the macrophytes, decomposing macrophytes. And in the process of this kind of feeding strategy, they nurture the soil, or they reshuffle the soil with regard to its textural components. The soils, instead of making the compactness, they will be loosened, and that will recharge the moisture, that will load the oxygen, and these soils will then support the lives of so many types of neobenthic fauna, macrobenthic fauna, and other type of microbenthic fauna. All those benthic fauna then will act as a novel source of food for the aquatic pelagic system. So the thing is that Chelonia apparently appears to be a very silent, cold animal, but by virtue of their feeding habit under the water, they do this ecological role. So in other way, they are being accepted as a good source of food for other higher animals, including the higher birds, carnivore bats, your predator fishes, and that in that way they facilitate the top-down method of your ecosystem functioning. And this is very important. Moreover, after their death, their cells are the main source of different calcium and other minerals to the aquatic system. So the thing is that whenever we are going to deal with any kind of wildlife, whether it is a Chelonians or it is a fishing cat, so far as the fishing cat is concerned, one information is there in India that you see that in carnivores, 15 families, 123 genera, and 283 species are there. You know, then the cat family, starting from the dog to our fishing cat, so many type of interesting carnivores are there, but we are acquainted with very, very few of them. Do you know what does it mean by the Pallas cat? Do you know what is the Marvel's cat? Do you know the carousel, the lynx, the terminix? All those things are the counterpart of this kind of cats. So first of all, as a student of the life science, as a student of the diversity people, we must be acquainted with the diversity form of all those animals. But hardly we can encounter all those cats in and around us right now. Still, our government of West Bengal has declared this fishing cat as the animal of our state, and they are playing their role, very important role, in sustaining our aquatic ecosystem by virtue of our excellent hunting behavior. You know, hunting behavior, they sustain our agricultural system by preying on the mice and rats, and even they also depend upon the birds also. So the thing is that I expect that in course of time, our three speakers dealing with the three different aspects of the turtles and fishing cats will cover different aspects of their biology, ecology, the conservation, threat factors, and our responsibility in future as a human being, what to do in ensuring their conservation. So this is about my feeling, this is about my realization, about the theme of the seminar. So in covering all those different facets, all the multinational aspects of this seminar topic, we have tried, we have ambitiously attempted to undertake this kind of seminar so that our students, especially our next generation people, will be enlightened with different multidimensional aspects on the, again I repeat, biology, ecology, chemistry, molecular biology, social, political conflicts, etc., about these animals. I am also hopeful to listen to a very nice, nice deliberation. I am thankful to our distinguished speakers, you know, and I must thank also to our colleague, all our colleagues, especially my young colleague, Professor Dr. Biplab Mondal, Dr. Priyanka Haldar, and Dr. Sagar Achiria, along with our senior colleagues, Dr. Bidhan Patro and Dr. Jayanta Kundu, to organize this seminar within a very short notice, overcoming so many constraints. Still, I am a person who has been under the home isolation. So don't take it other way. But the thing is that my enthusiastic, my interest in this seminar has made it possible to share with you some of my observations, some of my feelings. So I am thankful to Mr. Nathan Haslip from United States of America. Okay, sir, will be very much benefited to get you with us. Our students will learn so many things, I expect, from you. Joyaditya Purokahesto is with us. He is happened to be the Secretary of the Health of Earth Group. And Ms. Tisha Tiasha Addo, I think he is a young, enthusiastic conservationist on fishing cat, Joint Secretary of Hill. So all of them will deliver their lecture. After their lecture, our students and our audience will get the chance to interact with the speakers if the time permits. And I think Dr. Priyanka Haldar will enable them to help them to ask them a couple of questions so that they can be benefited. So with this, I welcome again on behalf of the department all the distinguished speakers along with all the participants of the seminar. So it is the time to Priyanka Haldar, my colleague, to continue this seminar session.
Thank you, Professor Chakraborty, for really your power-packed, presidential address. And I didn't think that I myself would be able to have so much energy that you have at this age for all aspects of both field and for academic such webinar purposes. Thank you, sir. And we would move on to the inaugural address. We have with us our Dean, Faculty of Science, Vidyasagar University, Professor Satyajit Saha. He works in the Department of Physics and happens to be the patron of today's organizing committee. So, sir, we would look forward to your inaugural address, please.
Yes. Firstly, good afternoon to everyone. Now, it is a great pleasure to be a part of the webinar organized by Department of Zoology, which is a part of celebration of 75 years of Indian independence. Firstly, I'd like to thank our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Shivaji Pratim Bosu, for encouraging us regularly to organize such webinar. And next, I welcome all the distinguished speakers in this international webinar. firstly, Mr. Nathan Heslip of United States. He's an official advisor to the Tsa India Program. Secondly, I like to welcome Dr. Jayaditya Purakastu, who is the General Secretary, Health Art. And finally, I like to welcome Mr. Tisha Addo, member IUCN Species Survival Commission. Now, I also like to thank Professor Sushant Chakraborty, HOD Zoology, for his nice opening address. And I also like to thank Dr. Priyanka Haldar for inviting me to this particular occasion. I also like to thank all the faculties who are present here in this particular webinar, and also welcome all the scholars and the students. Now, the main motto of this webinar is to spread awareness among people and step forward for welfare via the peaceful existence of the entire biosphere. Now, citizens should become fully responsible for giving equal rights to animals for their survival. Our nation's independence must include not only the freedom of living of humans, but also that of precious animals. Unless we live within the limits set by nature, more and more species will be driven towards extinction. Hence, if we ignore our responsibility, we'll compromise our own survival. Now, the theme of the webinar is very relevant to the present situation. We'll listen more from our speakers in this respect. And I will not elaborate much on this because I am not a very specialist in this field. So we are eagerly waiting for our speakers to listen from them. So I now declare the one-day international webinar organized by Zoology Department of Vidyasagar, Zoology Department of Vidyasagar University as open. Thank you, and also stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for, like, in today's world, it is not important for being in the field or not, because conservation is a very wholesome act, and it really includes each and every, starting from laymen, starting from illiterates to the scientists and all. So let us join hands to fulfill this purpose, and let us not allow the animals to go extinct day by day. So thank you, Professor Shaha, once more. Moving on to the next part of the program, one of our conveners and the collaborators of today's webinar, Dr. Shelinder Singh, who is also the Regional Vice Chair of the IUCN Species Survival Commission, Tortoise and Turtle Specialist Group, and presently the Director of Turtle Survival Alliance India. He is one of the conveners, but it is very sad to say that just 3 or 4 days back, he had a family bereavement. His mother passed away, so we are really unfortunate not to get him today. But on his behalf, I'll invite Dr. Saurabh Devan, who is the Development Coordinator of TSA and also a freshwater biologist. He has been a very active conservationist, to please go ahead with a special message on your behalf and on behalf of TSA, please. Saurabh-ji.
Thank you, Dr. Priyanka. Good evening, everyone. First of all, I'd like to congratulate all the organizers for putting this wonderful webinar together. And as Priyanka mentioned, Dr. Shelinder Singh, unfortunately, is unable to join us today. So on behalf of our director today, I would like to just give you a brief overview about the TSA India program before Nathan and Jadita take this workshop ahead with the specific talks. So I will just share a few quick slides with you to give you an overview what all the TSA India program is all about. So So, yeah. So as I was listening to the inaugural presidential talk, and Sir rightly mentioned that we have been living with Chelonians like since ages, but I don't know that how like most of you, how many of you know, like really know that we have 29 species of tortoise and freshwater turtles in India. So this is a huge kind of a dearth of knowledge that persists among the common citizens of the country. And you will be also surprised to know that India is among the premier turtle diversity hotspots, and we rank sixth in the term of the species diversity and third among all Asian countries. So you can see, or you can imagine the scale like on which like India has the potential to deliver on the conservation and management of these species. So considering this, Tsa India program was launched in 2004 with a project that was termed Project Kachuga on a flagship species, Batikul Kachuga, that is found only in Chambal River. So it was a part of the National Freshwater Turtle Tortoise Strategic Planning meetings that were held in series in 2005, 2010, and 2017, which eventually gave the shape to the TSC India program and
Excuse me,
projects.
Dr. Devan, are you moving your slides? Like we are stuck on the first. Are you really moving your slides?
No?
Okay, then it's fine.
So it was a part of the 2005 strategic planning meeting that that set the premise for the TSA India program, and which was gradually which got gradually shaped up in the subsequent meetings in 2010 and 2017. As a result of different recommendations of the national and international experts, TSA India program today has its stronghold in the 5 turtle priority areas, and we positively impact 15 of the 29 freshwater turtle species in the country. So if I show you the footprint of the TSA India program, so we are very closely aligned to the 5 turtle priority areas that were defined way back in 2010. So if you see here in Northeast, we are located right on the bank of Brahmaputra River, and we work in close cooperation with the Assam State Forest Department, and there is a center by the name of Nature Discovery Center. So the project also works closely with the local temples which harbor the population of the last known populations of a critically endangered species by the name of Nilsonia nigricans. So this particular project has its flagship species at Nilsonia nigricans, and also another very important conservation priority species, Assam roof turtle, Punctura sirentensis. So Dr. Jared will tell you more about the collaborative efforts that we have been doing in that particular part of the country. Close to Assam, in the state of Nagaland, we work in close collaboration with the Nagaland Zoo. And our priority species for the area is Asian giant tortoise, or the Menuria emis. You will be very glad to know that we have made a very significant headways in the last 5 years of the project, and the project currently has the one of the largest population of captive population of the tortoise in that particular zoo. And down east, if you see the another priority area that was identified was Sundarbans, and there we have a conservation breeding program running jointly with the Sundarban Tiger Reserve, and that is for the one of the world's most threatened species, northern river terrapin, or the Batakur buska. And if you come across to the northern India, where I am currently located, and also we are headquartered in Lucknow. So we have 3 major projects in northern India, and they run in the one of them runs in the Tarai Arc landscape, that is along the Kangra Serju landscape. That is among the one of the priority areas that was identified. The another project is on the bank of Chambal River, that is along the National Chambal Sanctuary, where the TSA program was initially started way back in 2004. So that project specifically focuses on Batakur Kachuga, the red-crowned roof turtle, and which really the population of the species is really in shambles, and we have hardly few hundred adult females remaining in the area. So that is one of our flagship project. And another
Dr. Divan,
project
actually,
is,
I think, are you showing the images of your turtles and the sites?
no, it's just a brief overview. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, we cannot see anything except the first slide in which we can see only the logo of the TSA. That's why I was. Yes, we were not able to see this. Now we can see. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. So this is the whole priority areas that I was telling about, starting from the northeast down to the east in Sundarbans and northern India. So the another major project in northern India that we have is that we work with is the Kokral Gharial Rehabilitation Center, and that is very closely linked project with the Uttar Pradesh Forest Department and Conservation Management priorities. So here we have developed assurance colonies of the North Indian Chelonians which are threatened, and here this is also the seat of the reptilian research that we do here, and also it's kind of a coordinating station for all the rescue and rehabilitation efforts that the Tsa India program does across the northern India. Can you see the next slide?
Anyone can respond? Yeah, now we can see what we do. Yes.
Yeah, so broadly speaking, if I will tell you, so TSA India program basically does a lot of research, education, and conservation and of the freshwater Chelonians across the country, and we are gradually expanding into the largely neglected areas. So if you will talk about our activities, they basically entail monitoring and protection of the potential turtle nesting sites. Like here, you can see in one of the images that is of the Chambal River. Here you can see a very well organized riverside hatchery. That is for the species I was talking earlier, that is Batagur Kachuga, the red-crowned root turtle. So basically nests, we do a lot of nest translocation for the nests which are really under threat, and these are like guarded for over the incubation period in these riverside hatcheries, and then are released back to their native areas. Similarly, we do a lot of survival and dispersal studies, like the one you can here see in this particular picture, that is of the Ghagra Serju landscape, where we have currently running one of the longest running population monitoring program for the freshwater turtles in the country. And apart from that, we also maintain a lot of assurance colonies of the severely threatened species all across our project sites. Apart from that, TSA India program is also at the forefront of rescuing the turtles and other sympatric wildlife, you say, like Ganges dolphins and crocodilians, which are like any kind of a distress state. So as you all know, illegal turtle trade is a kind of a huge mess today in the country. So we work in close collaboration with the state wildlife departments and enforcement agencies, and we give all kind of on-site support, triage, and medical aid to the turtles, and aid with the rehabilitation at Kokral Gharial Center. Apart from that, as you all will acknowledge that education and awareness form a very integral component of any conservation project. So we also do a lot of education and outreach with the communities, basically, which are along the riverine stretch, the priority areas that we work on. We work with a lot of teachers and children and students, and all have a lot of stakeholders, so that we can further this cause jointly. So apart from that, we have other certain initiatives like the School of Aquatic Wildlife Biology and Conservation. This is a kind of an annual school that we run for young graduates, postgraduates, and any other professionals who are like really want to learn and are eager to know more about the state-of-art conservation practices and the methods that is being used today in the field. So this is an annual 1 week course, and anyone can. This is by competitive selection committee, which selects on the basis of the applications that we receive. So anyone who interested can apply. So this is also a kind of a capacity building initiative that we have been running for close to 5 years now. Apart from that, we recently also started a citizen science initiative by the name of Indian Turtle Conservation Action Network, or ITCAN. So as you all know, citizen science is a buzzword in today's conservation arena. So a lot of citizen science-based projects and applications and websites are coming up all across the world. So this was the first initiative that we came up for, which was specifically focused on freshwater turtles and tortoises of the country. And anyone can contribute to this cause and can also generate a lot of knowledge from this. So these are the glimpse of the few of the web pages that are being currently run on various social media platforms. So it will be very fruitful for the students who are currently attending this webinar to go out and check out these pages, and you can really gain a lot of information about the Indian Chelonians. A similar initiative that we came up was the Kurma tracking Indian turtles application. This is a mobile-based application which has a lot of information encapsulated at a particular platform. And at one hand, it is a kind of a reporting application. Any person sitting in any part of the world can just report a turtle and send that information across to our backend team, or can get in touch with the team in case he or she needs any kind of information or wants to know more about any particular species. On the other hand, this app contains like a plethora of resource material which can be just can be like accessed from anywhere and can be benefited like to like any stakeholder can be benefited from it. So you can see that this has gained a lot of momentum in last few years, and the app has really gone across the borders, and the people are really appreciating. People are really appreciating this application. So today, I would really like to urge everyone who is listening to this, if you want to really know about the Indian Chelonians and the conservation issues or how you can contribute to the larger cause, please go to the Play Store and you can freely download this application and do your bit to the conservation of Indian Chelonians. Indian Chelonians, yeah. So with this, I would like to end my talk. So Dr. Shelinder Singh, who is currently not able to join today due to the demise of his mother, he leads our program. He's our program director, and he was awarded with the Behela Turtle Conservation Award in 2021, which is also known as the Nobel Prize of the turtle conservation field. So apart from that, we have a very nice team of young professionals or enthusiastic conservationists, I would say, like most of you behind the screens. So we really have a very good team who are like out there in the field and working for the cause of the turtle conservation. So the main purpose of this webinar is to encourage more young conservationists like you all to come forward and really do your bits for the conservation of these threatened organisms, which are like hardly being talked or worked upon. So with that, I would like to end my talk and would like to again thank Dr. Priyanka and all her colleagues who organized this webinar. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Saurav. And really, you saved us in the prime time, because when 3 days back I just heard about Sir's unavailability, I was thinking that how would we go ahead. But thank you so much. You gave a wonderful picture of the TSA and also tried to encourage our students and listeners here. So stay with us, and thanks again. And I think our wait is over. The star performer and the speaker of today had joined. Really, I think he was one of the most punctual persons, Nathan, and to do the needful, to introduce our keynote speaker, I would request Ms. Arunima Singh, who is a biologist and executive project coordinator of TSA India. She has been also awarded with the some Earth Hero Award, Young Earth Hero Award, if I'm not wrong. So we are really proud of you, and all the students must get encouraged from her also, that if you want to do something, you can do it at a small age also. So Arunima, go ahead.
Thank you, Priyanka, for the opportunity to introduce my dear friend Nathan Haslip. Nathan obtained his bachelor's and master's degree in wildlife from the University of Tennessee. Nathan also completed several herpetofauna-focused internships, including a research internship at the Knoxville Zoo, where he focused on Chelonians. Nathan joined Turtle Survival Center in 2014 from the Fort Worth Zoo, where he had been a terrestrial ecotherm keeper for 4 years in the Museum of Living Art, MOLA, while at the Fort Worth Zoo and Turtle Survival Alliance. He focused on breeding many critically endangered species for freshwater turtle and tortoises. Over the course of his career, he has gained a variety of skills, including exhibit design, electrical, plumbing, carpentry, those provided essential for his role as a keeper. So, Nathan, over to you.
Thank you, Rima. Okay, well, I appreciate everybody being here. Oh, sorry, I'm trying to present. There we go. Let's see. Share that one. Everybody hear me okay? Can you see my presentation?
Yeah, it's on its way.
Okay, good deal. All right. Okay. So first, I want to thank everybody for being here. I'm extremely privileged to be able to present to you guys. I'm very honored to be invited to speak. So I'll talk a little bit about just turtle conservation around the world and kind of what's happening in India as well. So approximately 51% of turtles around the world are threatened with endangered status. They're either critically endangered, or listed as vulnerable under the IUCN Red List. And one of the big things that really caused this, what was called the Asian turtle crisis. And what was happening was that thousands of animals were being vacuumed from the wild, just taken from the wild, and all of them heading to one place, which is China. All of these countries had all their native turtles being just extrapolated from the wild and going to this one place. And there was a reason for this. As the GDP increased in China, more people could afford to consume turtles for the food trade. So that really started to drive this impact around the world of all these animals going to other countries for consumption for traditional Chinese medicine. But also in the 80s and early 90s, it became popular to keep reptiles as pets. So more people started to keep these animals, and there became a larger and larger demand on these species. Now, many of the Asian species are highly susceptible to overharvesting. One of the reasons is because it takes them 8 years or more to even reach adulthood. So, if it takes almost a decade for those animals to even be able to reproduce, taking a few of those adults, if not thousands, could really be detrimental to a population. Many lack robust initial population size. So there's not a large number of those animals in a population. There's not millions and millions. A lot of times there's a few thousand. The clutch size of these species in Asia is often very small, 2 to 5 for a lot of the species. Even larger species lay very few eggs relative to other species in South America or Africa. So, taking adults also really hurts the reproductive effort quickly. And a lot of them have very small geographic ranges. So the species I just showed, this is a southern Vietnamese box turtle. And that is its entire range, is that tiny orange highlighted spot in southern Vietnam. So it occupies a very small area. And the problem is if you take, it doesn't have a huge geographic range. So if you even take a few thousand animals from that area, it may completely deplete the population. So as TSA, what started to happen is we started asking these questions of how long do they have if you're constantly harvesting thousands and thousands of animals? How long do we have before we have more species like Lonesome George, where there's one animal left and then he eventually went extinct? And the answer is we don't have long enough. We've been impacting the environment around us for so long that we've now gotten these species to the brink of extinction. So the TSA was formed in 2001 in response to this Asian turtle crisis. And it's really just a group of people, organizations, institutions that are passionate about saving turtle species. So what does that mean we do? Well, the first thing we do is we engage the community wherever we work. So children are the future of conservation. And so we want to make sure that these kids know the animals around them in their ecosystems and why they're important, why we should even care that turtles are on this planet. We also impact approximately 1/3 of all turtle species around the world, and impacting 20 of the top 25 most endangered turtles and freshwater tortoises and freshwater turtles. Now you can see there's a strong focus in Asia there, and that is because, as the president said, there's a high diversity of turtles in Asia. And so we really had to focus our efforts in Asia because so many of those species were also very susceptible to overharvesting. But since this map was created, we've actually created several other programs, 4 more in Africa, 1 in Australia, and 1 in Mexico. So one of the facets that we deal with is confiscations. So I'll talk about one in particular, which was called the crisis in the Philippines. Approximately 3,800 of these Philippine forest turtles were confiscated, which is not an abnormally large confiscation for us to deal with. However, for this species, it was more than what was known to be in existence. So this may be the entire species population in this one truck right here. And so that could literally wipe a species off the face of the earth in one confiscation. So we flew staff out immediately for triage, and we had thankfully at least a program in that area that started to kind of react to this confiscation, and it was a global response. There were hundreds of people from Europe, Asia, and North America that came together to help save these turtles, either directly or sending funds, sending materials. I mean, there were hundreds of pounds of materials sent to the Philippines to help, the medical aspects of this and the feeding of the animals and stuff like that. And it really transformed a sense of despair into one of hope. You see a species that's literally on the brink of extinction in your hands, and you're able to put it back into the wild. And thankfully, after 5 weeks, almost 99% of those animals were re-released back into protected lands, which is huge because a lot of times these confiscations have very poor health. They've been in poor conditions for weeks, if not months, and they usually have little to no food, et cetera. So oftentimes mortality rates can be very high. So a 99% release was fantastic. But that's just one instance. Madagascar has dealt with over 40,000 confiscated animals. And here in India, we've dealt with over 35,000 confiscated animals. This was a large one, I think over 6,000 flap-shelled turtles at one time. So they still continue to come. And it's an ongoing response all over the world. And it really is a major focus of us trying to at least get these animals back to where they belong. So the goals of these confiscations are to respond quickly. As I said, these animals are potentially in life or death situations. So we facilitate triage. We sort the animals based on their medical needs and what needs to be tended to immediately. Because a lot of times these animals are in such poor condition, they may only have days left. We focus on training government staff and officials to help them know how to take care or what to do with some of these animals, at least until we can respond. Help them to be able to identify the species, what's different from one versus the other. There may be laws on some species versus others. So just trying to educate the government staff as well. We identify potential areas of release, preferably areas that are protected, that have law enforcement communities that would be able to protect the animals or not encourage poaching, because we don't want to put the animals back out in the wild for them to just be collected again. And then we try and repatriate as soon as possible. So we want to put them back in nature where they belong as quickly as we can. Now, although confiscations happen, and I'll talk about our infield stuff, I do want to talk about what's called ex situ efforts. So although all the conservation efforts are happening around the world, many species are still going to go extinct without a captive management component. So in particular, the Kora, the Asian box turtles, it's the most endangered group of turtles in the world, with over 93% of them being critically endangered. All species are under intense collecting pressures, and 2 of these species actually occur in India. However, many of these species are not even really found in the wild very much anymore. So the Turtle Survival Center, where Arunima mentioned I used to work, was created in conjunction with zoos and other institutions to focus on making assurance colonies of these species that are already gone from the wild or are near extinct in the wild, and making backup colonies to be able to maintain genetic diversity over time in the hopes of one day putting those animals back into the wild. And it was a large undertaking for the TSA. This is the current facility with many outdoor complexes. There's a veterinary clinic. There's a variety of different enclosures for the animals based on what they are, whether tortoises or large aquatic turtles or whatnot. So the TSC, the Turtle Survival Center, focuses on species that are not able to be conserved in range countries. So we can't work with these species in the wild because they're pretty much no longer there, or it's too restrictive. So stuff such as the Asian box turtles, most of those are not in the wild in large enough numbers to be able to protect nests and be able to do anything in the wild with them. Other Southeast Asian endemics, some are very hard to work with because of the countries or because their situation in the wild, whether they're too large, too vast of an area, trying to, sample animals in the Brahmaputra is not, very easy sometimes. So some animals are difficult because of where they are or the geopolitical situations in those countries. And so the TSA impacts 21 critically endangered species that are not able to be worked with really in range countries. The collection plan was based on their ability to live in South Carolina, where the center is located. So can they live outside in that climate for most of the year? Species that need captive management for survival. We don't want to put resources into species that can be managed in the wild. We are only focused on the rarest of the rare. They were ranked by critically endangered by IUCN Red List, or they were on the top 25 most endangered turtles, or they are species that present special husbandry challenges in captivity. This last one is a Chinese big-headed turtle, and they are incredibly difficult to manage in a captive situation. They have to be individual. They're very aggressive. And of course, if you build it, they will come. There's over 30 species and over 700 specimens now at the Turtle Survival Center, and they are breeding. We focus on naturalistic enclosures. We want to provide a stress-free environment to basically mimic their natural habitats that they came from. So all the enclosures are really built to facilitate pair breeding, but also simulate nature, be very naturalistic with plenty of cover, reducing the stress, allowing them to enjoy living outside. And they do seem to really enjoy the enclosures. So there has been quite a bit of success at the center. They have hatched 22 species, 15 of those being critically endangered, and 5 of those are considered to be functionally extinct. So those species are maybe in the wild, but there's so few left that those cannot maintain a functional population. And of course, you got to have some baby turtle photos in pretty much every turtle talk. So there's some of the variety of turtle species that have hatched at the center. So I'll really talk now about the in situ efforts, the in-range country efforts that TSA does. This is TSA's bread and butter, as we call it. We really focus on this highly. We have 9 Asian countries, as well as Australia, Europe, South America, and Africa. We're focused on species that are ranked critically endangered. Again, we have emphasis on a captive component. So raising those animals in captivity, at least at some point of their life, whether it be a Head Start program where we raise them for a certain amount of time as they hatch and then release them, or making full-blown assurance colonies. So a great example in particular was the Burmese star tortoise in Myanmar. There's a similar star tortoise in India, the Indian star tortoise. This one is a little different in that it has a very restricted range. It's only in the dry region of Myanmar. And in the late 90s and early 2000s, there were only a handful of animals left found in the wild. Villagers confirmed that they were being paid to collect them, and they were also consuming them. And in 2005, it was determined that this species was functionally extinct in the wild. So we had set up assurance colonies in 2004 with the objective to produce offspring to be released in the wild. Several institutions, Minsintong, Swishatal, Lakananda, and Mandalay Zoo had populations established that we could start reproducing. TSA, however, was not included in running these facilities initially. They were government run. So we just provided husbandry suggestions and help for facility managers at that stage. And then in 2008, we were able to take over the husbandry. This woman in particular, Kaliar, she has been the absolute driving force for the entire Myanmar program. And that year in 2008, 250 eggs were laid, which was the first time they had ever had any eggs laid. First time hatchings had been reproduced. So that was a great first year for us to be able to take over that and then facilitate eggs being laid and whatnot. So facility improvements continued, and we actually added a new facility there as well. And as I mentioned, community involvement is incredibly important. Getting awareness out there, involving children, working with the community and helping them wherever we can. Because if the community doesn't care about the turtles, there's no reason why they would help protect them. So after we had successful hatchlings, we grew them up for a time, and then we prepared them for release. We do health screenings, and then we radio transmitted some to see kind of what these animals were doing in the wild. They were dremeled, or notched, which means they have an identifier, so we know what animal was what. But also they were tattooed here, and there's a larger image of it here. It's Burmese for harm me and harm will come to you. And this really served 3 purposes. One, this is an individual mark for our animals. So if they were confiscated again, wherever in the world they were confiscated, we would know they were released by us. They were our animals because no one else is doing this for those tortoises. The second impact is that this created a graffiti in that it devalued the value of the animal, because the animal's value is in the shell. And so people see this and don't really want to buy it because it's already been basically graffitied. And the third is it's a religious taboo. Basically, it has religious symbols on it that say, you're going to harm me, harm will come to you. And so it kind of off-putting for a lot of people to want to mess with those animals. On top of that, we have a releasing ceremony where we donate them to the Buddhist monks. Buddhist monks have a lot of land in Myanmar. And so we just provide them with the animals to be released on their land. There's a blessing ceremony. So if you come on Buddhist monk land and steal tortoises that are tattooed with religious symbols, you're really just incurring a lot of bad juju. So it's definitely been a program that has been very successful. So with our success, since 2008, when we took over the husbandry, a little over 10 years or so, 12 years, we've had 14,000 animals hatched in 4 assurance colonies. We have steadily released animals since 2015, with over 2,000 animals going into the wild every year. And the first offspring have been found in the wild again. And that is a huge accomplishment, because that means that our reintroductions since 2015 have actually worked, because those animals are now breeding in the wild when there wasn't a functional population. Now I'll talk about India. So Asia has 58% of the turtle species are considered to be threatened. And as the president mentioned, Asia has one of the highest diversities of turtles in all of Asia. 34 species if you include sea turtles, and 58% of those are listed as endangered or critically endangered. And one thing I've got to really emphasize is that India is one of the few countries left in Asia that you can go out in the wild and regularly see turtles. And until you've gone to a place, or until you live in a place that doesn't have that, a lot of people don't really understand the importance of that you can literally go outside and see turtles in the wild. And it's not until they're gone that you really see what you had. And it's one thing I absolutely love about India. I think is phenomenal about India, that you can still see turtles in the wild wherever you go. So the same issues were being seen here in India as in other countries. You were having animals being exploited for the food and the pet trade. And one species in particular, the northern terrapin, its population was as low as 12 individuals in the wild. The red-crowned roof turtle had as few as 500 animals. And provinces like Bihar and Bengal had no functional populations of large softshells anymore. Now, if you looked at the number of seizures that were happening, this is kind of a map of general seizures, most of them within 1 to 500, some of them are larger turtle seizures or confiscations. They were heavily concentrated in Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, and West Bengal. And so that was really concerning. Those animals were really being targeted when there was a pretty high diversity in those areas. And what was happening was a lot of those animals were being found to go through these trade routes, whether you go to Kuala Lumpur, to Thailand, or directly to China. But basically, those animals were leaving India, going east, and then heading to Indonesia, Japan, China, and even the United States, where trades are high in those countries. So you still see confiscations around the country, where people are being arrested, being prosecuted for this, which is great. And that's kind of one of the things that helps to combat this trade. So TSA India efforts began in 2004, and really focused on illegal trade control and law enforcement. If you don't have law enforcement, there's no way to stop the trade that's happening. Establishing rescue and breeding centers was another pivotal point, to where we could actually raise these animals in captivity for a while and then be able to re-release them back into the wild. Nest protection was huge for some of these species that I'll talk about in a minute. And then reintroduction programs with robust monitoring protocols. This means studying the animals, seeing what they're doing, how they're growing, what's their survival rate, where they're moving to, what's their home range. If we don't really study what's happening, we won't know how our effects are impacting the population. And then lastly, again, community outreach and involvement, educating people and showing them the wonders of turtles. So in particular, we'll talk about the Northern River Turtle Project first in the Sundarbans. The population went from 12 to over 380 animals. 50 hatchlings emerged from 4 nests in 2020 alone. There were 3 colonies established, with 2 more to soon be established. There's a grow out facility, an incubation center, and a soft release facility proposed for this year. And 10 animals were actually re-released back into the wild with satellite transmitters this year. And that was huge, or last year, I guess now. But that was huge because being able to put those animals back into the wild is a large accomplishment. You went from 12 animals, now we're able to add another 10 animals back into the wild that weren't there initially. Another species that's been very successful is the red-crowned root turtle. This is a beautiful river species. At one time, the populations were estimated to be 200 to 300 animals, and that's it. So that's still a very, very small number of animals left in the wild. However, over the entire time that TSA has been involved, they've protected over 2,500 nests. That's not individual eggs, that is nest. Individual nests, usually contain 10, 20, 30 eggs. So that's a large number of nests. Thousands of hatchlings have been head started, which gives them a jump start. They are avoiding predators for the first year or so of their life and then released into the wild. And we've been monitoring wild individuals in their home range, and that concluded in December. And so we're able to kind of determine where these animals were going. And we're able to actually expand in the upper stretch of the Chambal all the way into Rajasthan. And so what we're able to do now that we're studying these animals is know what's their home range, where are they going, what's the main area that they're inhabitating and living in and breeding in, and what are critical areas that we need to be protecting. So that was a huge step for us as well, to be able to gain more knowledge about where these animals were going. And that's a very important part, to be able to research these animals and know more information, because a lot of information is not known about these species. The narrow-headed soft-shell turtle, one of my absolute favorites. These turtles are huge riverine species. Their extirpation from the Ganges led to issues with human bodies in the river, as they are a large consumer of meat. And so since they were gone, it was starting to create a large problem. So in 2008, with the government, the TSA started a hatch and release program where they protected over 4,000 eggs and were able to release hatchlings back into the wild. And so that really helped to head start these species now. And we're still actively managing this population abroad in the country, and they're a really cool and charismatic animal. So crowned river turtle, this is, I think, Arunima's favorite probably. The nest of the species has never been documented in the wild. So Arunima has really been focused on studying this animal. She has worked with population ecology in the area in Terai, with studying over 800 animals. And she's actually found some new habitats as well. She's also studying artificial oviposition and doing head starting of hatchlings. So we can find some of the nest or some of the eggs sometimes and be able to head start those hatchlings and be able to give them a better chance at life. Kukral is another crowning achievement of the TSA India program. It's in Lucknow. It is a center where over 8,000 confiscated animals have been rehabilitated and released back into the wild. Training of over 200 forest staff with Auckland Zoo support. And we're also breeding threatened species there as well. This is the Tricarnate hill turtle, a species that is very rarely bred in captivity. And we're able to hatch those at Kukral. And that's a huge accomplishment. Shift over to the east for a minute. In Assam, we have the black soft-shelled turtle, virtually extinct in the wild. This animal was very little known in India. breeding in a few temple ponds in Assam, and the populations there are robust, but not in the wild. And so we actually were able to release animals into the wild from temple pond reproductions for the first time in 2021. We've identified 3 promising sites for future supplementation where we can add more animals to areas that are better protected, that they're not going to be over harvested immediately, that there's good habitats for both the adults as well as the juveniles. We continue to advise the temples to help improve their house and and their nest protection so they can get even more and more hatchlings provided. And we're starting to do eDNA, and we are going to do a pilot release of 10 juveniles with transmitters as well. So see kind of where these animals are going. The eDNA is going to be sampling areas to see are turtles present there as well. So continue to grow this project and expand on this species. We also mentioned the Nature Discovery Center earlier. So this is located on the Brahmaputra as well. And it's really focused on education of the villagers in the area to help the community to produce goods, and to know that those are sold and the funds go back to them, and that's really because of our efforts there in that area. So they're able to hit a larger market and make more money by our presence. We're just helping to facilitate and empower those villagers to be able to make a better life for themselves, and our presence there is helping them. So hopefully they will recognize that and know that the turtles being there is a good sign for them. This center will eventually be more of a breeding and grow out, as well as helping with confiscations in the area, as right now we don't have a great place for confiscations in the Northeast. Another species in the east is the Asian mountain tortoise, or Asian brown tortoise. It is the largest tortoise in Asia, but little is known about it in the wild. It's very, very little studied. Even though the species is large, there's not been a lot of efforts put into studying this animal in the wild. They're still there in India, in Bangladesh, in Myanmar, but there's just not been a lot of investigation yet. So we're doing conservation breeding there at Dimapur Zoo. 78 hatchlings have been provided so far, or hatched so far. We have already surveyed 2 sites for future releases. And we're working with the zoos in that area, in Assam, in Nagaland, to try and increase the genetic management of the species. Other zoos have them, not just Dimapur. And so we're working with those areas to try and help increase the diversity and reproduction of that species. Another important one was a new species of turtle was added to India. And that to me is huge, and it's awesome. And it's one of the reasons why India is still just so amazing, because there's still stuff out there to be found. This was in the Northeast as well. And it's the impressed tortoise, another cool species, beautiful. In the summer of 2019, 3 of these animals were found. And that to me just still says that we just don't know enough about what the animals are out there in the wild, and haven't studied them enough. And it's just a really amazing to me to see still animals being found in new areas. So it really is a cool thing. It's really encouraging to see that even new species are being found in India. So of course, partners are the absolute key to our success. We are supported by a variety of zoos and aquariums in the United States. And I'm sorry, I don't have all the funding agencies in India that support the India program, because it is extensive. And I just want to thank all of our partners. I also want to thank my family in India, because this is their hard work. I'm just their cheerleader. They are the people that do it. Shai has been an absolute amazing driving force for turtle conservation in India. And all of his employees have been absolutely critical to saving the species. Their dedication to these animals is absolutely incredible. So it's just through them that this is even possible. So I'll just end with how you can make a difference. You can become a member of the Turtle Survival Alliance. Go to our website, you can sign up. Follow us on social media where you can see everything that's going on. There's a TSA India Facebook page as well as just TSA in general, so you can see what's going on around the world. Volunteer. You can sponsor a species or project. And if you've got any questions, email us. There's plenty of ways that you can be involved and be able to help conservation in India. And with that, I would love to take any questions you guys have.
Thank you, Nathan. It
Thank
was
you.
really like, I'm so happy that you tried to put the whole picture of the world as well as Asia as well as India in, just a matter of 30 minutes, though it's quite tough. Yeah, it's quite tough. But, our audience should get an idea of what is going on. Actually, we tend to see what we have only locally around us. So this is a very good opportunity that we get to get an idea of what's happening all over the world. And I'm also really thankful to you because you are the real workforce, because see, we are academicians and we study papers, and we are more or less we are dealing with the turtle right now. If I am the state coordinator of ITCAN, I'm handling it from the indoors and somewhere locally. But you have been dealing with the turtles, you have been sleeping with the turtles, and hats off to you. And I wish that you keep the good work continuing. And if you have one or two short questions, any one of you can pose it here, or you can reserve it for the interaction session
I'll be around the interaction session too. I'll still be here. So yeah, if you guys got other questions, feel free.
And in case if you have any emergency questions, you can raise your hands or just type in the chat box. Or even if you want, the audience can keep your questions written in the chat box so that we can take it up later on. Okay, no issue. Thanks again, Nathan. Thank you so much. Yeah, that's our Indian acknowledgement, and thank you. So could you just stop sharing your screen at the moment? Yeah. I hope you all could have inspired from the great all huge activities what Mr. Nathan Haslip has been doing for several years till now. And we also have a second speaker ready with us today, and the speaker is Dr. Jaiditya Purkayastha. He'll be speaking on an insight into the Chelonian diversity of India with special reference to the art of turtle conservation. And if I can share something about him in a nutshell, please give me a while. Hello, Dr. Jaiditya.
Yes,
thanks for making it in this webinar. Our head of the department, as he said, he was also suffering from this virus for the last week, and you are also one of the sufferers. But thank God you could join in, and at least you're able to speak today. So in nutshell, if I introduce our second speaker, he's the General Secretary of the Help Earth, and this organization is a Society for Promotion of Science and Conservation of Biodiversity in Guwahati. He's a member of the Amphibian Network of South Asia. He's a member of the IUCN Sea Tortoise and Freshwater Turtle Group also. He did his PhD though on snakes of the Xenocropis species of Northeast India, but he is a very good singer. He is a wildlife photographer. He's a videographer. He has many blogs, and he has written so far 75 research articles. He has 7 books, apart from many popular articles to his name. And also we are proud that he has described in total 9 + 4 13 new species of reptiles. He's an assistant editor of a prestigious journal, and he has reviewed many, and along with that he has completed many project grants, few. So he's a really active person. And so, Jerry,
Thank you, ma'am.
thanks for giving your time and your effort. So the stage is all yours, please.
Thank you. Thank you. So I've been listening to such lovely talk of other speakers, and I was like delighted the way Nathan presented the thing, and even I think Chakraborty sir told at very beginning, and everyone as a whole. So I try to learn, and while I learn, I try to be in the place to be in the place. The most important thing in this webinar culture, the problem I face is that one-to-one thing is not there. We do not know what you are eating Maggie, or you are sleeping, or you are dancing, or you may just have started the program this meet, and you are playing PUBG, or PUBG is banned, something else maybe. So if I request you, it becomes, I know in this tough time, it becomes very difficult for us to get one-on-one interaction, but still, if some of you can switch on your camera so that I can see and I can feel that I am talking to real people rather than my laptop, it becomes much, nice. Thank you, ma'am. I see someone already, and people are helping me out in this endeavor where we do not see very much robotic
Yes.
and talking to,
Yeah.
So to see some people in front of you gives you a lot of, courage to speak and speak sense, because otherwise sometimes you get carried away and start speaking nonsense. So thank you,
Yeah, thank
Arunima.
you.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Arunima.
I
Thank you.
know. Thank you for all the volunteers for cooperating with our second speaker, and try to keep it like we can have a small photo session right now. Please, can you, like, as much of as you can you just put on your video for a moment? Then we'll have it as a group. Can you please, for one moment? Then we can have it as a group photo of in the album of our webinar. Yes. Yes, please, as many of you can. And I have my, bright students here and young kids also. Great.
Great.
So
Yeah.
wait till I say cheese. Are you all ready? Are you all there? Okay. So shall I start? Okay. Cheese. Oh my God. Wait. I mean, my cheese slipped off. My cheese slipped off. Wait. Yes. Ready? Once more, please. Yes, done. So,
Okay.
Dr. Srivastava, you can
Even
continue.
even somebody is missed out, we can always Photoshop them. So that's not an issue. The issue is, I first of all, I am not suffering from COVID, luckily, but influenza. But I think that the normal influenza has taken it in his ego. That everybody is talking about COVID. Let me also become lethal. So it has made me very weak.
I'm
So
so
in
sorry
this
if I, spoke wrongly.
no, but it's, I just wanted to tell. So, so let's start, and I'll just give you as long as you people are feeling free to, talk to me, and in between you want to give me any inputs or any question, I am very open to it. Otherwise, it makes like I am talking, and no, I don't know even if you are listening or not. So I'm trying to share my screen and check out. Okay. So let me know uh, if everything is okay or not. So just let me know if you can see the screen.
Shagur, can you see?
Can you see the screen? Because because my PPT is full frame. So can anyone just give me that if they can see the screen or not?
I don't think so. Shagur, can
No,
you?
no, it can't be seen.
Okay, I'll do it
No,
again.
no.
Let Okay, let me check out.
Though it's saying it's presenting, but screen is not visible.
Okay, okay, I'll try it again. No issue.
Technology has both.
Now is it okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Acha. The
Not in the
only
PPT mode though, like in a minimized mode.
now.
Yes, we can
Okay,
see.
okay. I go back and forth. You can see that. I go back and forth. Second screen, third screen.
No,
Can you see that?
no. What you can do, in spite of, instead of doing the PowerPoint, the place where you click, no, you go into the reading mode.
Okay.
The second one, from down,
Okay.
from where you were, pointing out the slideshow mode. Just
Okay.
the icon before that, you have the reading mode.
Reading mode. Yeah. This is normal. This is slideshow. But I don't see the reading mode. But I'll try it again anyway. I'll try to do something else. Stop sharing and I'll try to present the entire screen and then see if it works or not. I'll do that entire screen. I think it should work now. Can you see now?
Yeah, it can be seen.
Now, if I enlarge it, also you can be able to see. I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah.
That's it.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you. So let's go ahead. So what I'll do is briefly give you an idea about, because Nathan has just gone through the conservation status of what are the actions being done and what we have been doing, and lots of groups as a whole are doing to conserve the turtle. So also he gave you an idea why we are dealing with a species which is as such in such a condition. See, now the point is that in case of turtle, we are facing multidimensional problem. Natural problems are there and it will be there. For example, habitat degradation, habitat destruction. I'll prefer to use the word habitat alteration rather than destruction, and then breeding failure, these and that. But then apart from that, there is this a big trade angle to the whole group, and like fishes where the reproduction rate is so high, it's not so in turtle, so that is also a problem. So the rate at which the population is depleting, the reproduction rate cannot compensate for that. As a result, in every cycle we are going and we are having lesser number or fewer number of individuals, and so conservation action plan has to be taken and taken very quickly. Also, the species like these lesser known animals where tiger and all where we are focused. So for example, I don't see per se in near future tiger getting extinct because of all the conservation action plan. Even the rhino that since I am sitting in Assam, so I also need to talk about rhino a bit, and I don't see rhino getting extinct in near future because of the conservation action plan. But you see, it is very easy to, rather not that easy, but it is easy to rather manage one animal rather than managing a collage of animals. So when we talk about turtle, it is a collage of animals that many species, as Nathan already told, 29 species are there in India. So a tiger is much easier to manage. So we are shown a picture where tiger and rhino and elephants are portrayed in that frame, so that we do not see beyond them. We fail to see beyond them, because if we see the truth, we will ask, and then there will be for many concerned department, it will be a headache. So we are mostly kept unaware regarding what is happening in the backdrop, because in a film or in a theater set, you don't see what is going in the background, you only see what is presented to you. So that is something we can say as mega mammal myopia that we are suffering. We cannot see beyond mammals. With due respect that we are mammals, but we do not see beyond mammals. So that's a big challenge, that the big mental notion before we start conservation, before we start doing anything, we have to start, or we have to unlearn in our brain that mammals are not everything. I am a big follower of one of photographer, because I also try to photograph, but I see many photographer and I love their photograph. Jewel Seture is one of a leading photographer of National Geography. So I had the chance to meet him and spend time with him and ask his philosophy. So it's see, conservation is, yes, it is about methods, but at the very base it is about philosophy. So I asked him a question that because he took photograph of all the animal in a single background, either it is black or it is white. So no trees, no grasses, nothing. Either it is a black photograph or it is a white photograph, artificial. So I asked him why. Because in Assam State Zoo, he came and painted for hyena photography, he painted the whole background wall black. So he gave me an answer, and that stayed. It is with me, and it will stay throughout my life. He told me, with the help of the background, we gauge the importance of the animal. Because in a photograph, you will never know what elephant is until and unless you see the background. The background makes you feel that animal is such big. But in absence of background, an elephant and an ant will be same. And they should be. And in nature, they are. See, many a times somebody died. I'm trying to give you a perspective, okay? Somebody died. And I have seen in my home also, somebody died. It's a painful thing. So people start saying, a handsome guy died. What difference does it make? Handsome, not handsome, whoever. But our, our desperate bondage with beauty makes us say all these things, makes us do all those things. So it's in our mindset. So now I'll go to the technical things. So in between, if you have anything that you want to share or you want to ask, please go ahead if you will.
Dr. Purkast, just a small thing on your screen bottom, you have a hide button. Could you press that?
Thank you. I will hide it. Anybody else have any questions or any points that I'll be happy to. You can also say something you have in your mind. Okay. So no, I say you should participate. Then it will be fun. Okay. Next 2 or 3 slides, I'll come back to the students and we have to have some good discussion. Okay. So already we had some discussion that how many species of turtle. So we need to know once we start moving ahead with some storyline, we have to have a basic base, and our base starts from globally how many species. That is a question every time everybody generally asks, to give you an idea that we are dealing with tens, thousands or lakhs. That's idea. So here, if you are talking about turtles, we are dealing with turtles and tortoises, everything included. We are dealing with 357 species. So out of that, 29 are freshwater turtle and tortoises. 29 are found in India, plus 5 sea forms. That at the very beginning, Chakrabarti sir said about some sea forms. So the 5 species are the sea form. So we here we are working mainly with these 29 species which are confined to our inland India. So now I have a biasness with my state Assam. So every time I will present something, I will keep Assam for you to get an idea of how rich Assam is in terms of turtle and tortoise diversity. So out of the 29 species, 21 species are found in Assam itself. So that's a huge number. So it's a matter of pride, but it's a matter of responsibility as well. So it's you can take it in both ways. Like we have lots, but we have lot to lose if no or proper conservation action plan is not taken very soon. That's the key. So we have to be very responsible. The state that you are in, West Bengal, is not far behind, but I think more survey will lead to better answers regarding West Bengal, where I think survey effort is maybe a touch low in the lower side. So that is a scope for most of you. And if I just talk about that species wise, so you see India is at sixth rather, so joint fifth you can say. So this USA has 59 species, Mexico 48, Brazil 32, Indonesia 31, China and India both 29 species. So we are, by ourselves, we are having a great diversity of turtles in the country. And in the part we are in, I am in the West Bengal and surrounding Northeast India, we are also having a lot of diversity. And as just now Nathan told that about Manuria impressa, the new species, rather than new distribution record. So for a turtle, because we describe lots of species of lizards, as ma'am told at the very beginning, but that did not give us a lot of interest, because this is a very pedantic work, like lots of paperwork. And but one find that I am very proud of, and we'll discuss in a storytelling manner in coming slides of the finding. So let's move on to the next slide. And as again, I think something to worry about, why turtles and tortoises are one of the most endangered group of vertebrates, with around 51 to 56% of species having threat of extinction. Only after primate, they are the most threatened group. So primates are having 65% of the species are threatened, and turtles and tortoises are 51 to 56. And there is one more thing that we also need to adjust in our statement, that the assessment rate of primate is higher than, I think, what about turtles, that many species are yet to be assessed. And who knows, in coming time, with more assessment and more studies, because in one primate species there are many research group working, but even in a group of family of turtle, there are less research groups studying than in one primate species. So we are working in a very low manpower environment. People now slowly that concept of lesser known animals is creeping up, and I hope in coming time that will be a golden era for this species. Just they have to survive till then. If they can survive this onslaught till then, I think those era would be the era of lesser known animals, and I'm sure that will come. So I'll not go in details to all those things. Very basic, whatever conservation status. So you see, most of the turtle that we discussed worldwide and all. So these three, critically endangered, and vulnerable, are the group which constitute the threatened animal. Leave aside the extinct. Extinct, those are gone. So this, you see, almost more than 50%, as the data says, more than 50% are the group comprising of threatened animals. Data deficient is again a group that is very wary of, we should be, because it's not a very good news that data deficient is not like a least concern, because we do not have the data, and with coming up with new findings and data, this group may well be something like critically endangered or vulnerable, or if you are lucky enough, it may be least concerned. But at this point of time, we do not have the data to substantiate and to say where they should fit in. But I would say we should be very careful and also look into this with very care, so that we should be very much careful regarding this group as well. So now this is a heat map showing the distribution of turtle throughout the world. So the more diversity is seen, and the less the red or the whitish tone means diversity. So you see, we must say that this area that we are in, from UP, that the TSA headquarters is in, and then we come to Assam. These are all deep red, and your West Bengal, these are deep red. So we are in a turtle hotspot that we are living in. So I think after Assam, most species rich state is UP. Arunima can help me out. I think how many species, Arunima, will be there in UP? Anyway.
Okay. Maybe she will.
Okay, maybe she will in the course of time she will let us know. Anyway, so let's moving on. Then we come to the basic thing, because we are dealing with college students, and many of you may be interested in knowing what is there around your campus, maybe, or around your locality. So you need to know, because I think the first step to conserve is to know what is to be conserved. In absence of knowing what is to be conserved, the whole conservation phenomena will become meaningless. So how to identify turtle become a very important, because misidentification can lead to lots of conservation related concern that cannot be rectified in coming time, because once it is done and it is dusted. So while we are talking about turtle, so the thing is that turtle will have a shell, the one at the vertebral dorsal region, and one will be the ventral region. So here I want student to just to have a debate if they want, or any comment. So how many of you, I'll just bring the Zoom window again, and how many of you have seen turtle in life? Just at a very, very basic question. How many of you have seen turtle in life? So Abhishek says me. Okay, great. One answer is there. Anybody else? Arpita Datta raised her hand. Arpita, go ahead. Nathan says me. SK, okay. Lots of points are coming in. So, so Arpita, if you want to say something, and then these are coming so fast and going so fast, so it's hard for me. So I can stop a bit, ma'am. What do you think? Can I just stop?
Yeah, for 2-3 minutes you can just.
Yeah, so if anybody has anything or any concerns or any comments, please go ahead.
Yeah, like please wait for the feedback link, okay? Don't run away. But not only at the end, sir, what is he asking? He likes to have interactive session, but like what kind of situation did you see the turtle? Was it,
anything, anybody who wants to say anything, like they have, okay, they raising the hand mean they have seen turtle. Now I understood. I am a little slow learner, so yeah, I did not figure it out earlier. So so now back to the presentation. So you see, there are basically, if I have to categorize turtle, I'll categorize them into 3 groups. Group 1, the turtle is hard. It is having shells up, bottom, everything. This is hard shell. And their legs will be like elephant. You know, we'll come to that. Their feet will be like this, elephant-like feet. So we can say that these are tortoises. Then there will be hard shell. Shell is hard, but the feet are not like elephant, but rather webbed feet. And this webbing in the feet or the feet like this only means that they are adapted for water life. So this is another group. And the third group will be totally soft. The body is fully leathery body. So there are three groups you can think of. So, and people may ask me what is tortoise, turtles, and so basically it's not like this, you know, black and white line. There are gray areas that we'll discuss. So first of all, let's think about hard shell and what do they have. Hard shells are basically having this type of scutes over their ventral dorsal area, and generally such type of scutes over their ventral areas. So these are the scutes because they are hard shells, okay, and they have their own names. But if you really want to learn more, because we have some time constraint, so if you want to learn more, I can always hand it over to your madam as a PDF file, and you can go through it. Then some turtles will have. Now tell me, this is a hard shell, but then you see the feet is having web. So this is a hard shell that lives in water. Okay, so they may have such one hinge or one single keel, or they may have such type of three keels arrangement. So depends. So based on that, we can identify the species. I'm giving you the markers. Okay, here, like how the shapes of these are oriented gives you an idea that which species we are dealing with. Similarly, here we have this species is having only one keel and this having three. So then they are two separate species. Again, if you see the back of this shell is highly serrated, but here it is not. So that is also a key identifying feature of species. As I already told you this point, this is having serration and it is not having serration. Next, in box turtle, Nathan told about box turtle. So why they are known as box turtle? This is also a very funny thing, because this turtle, for other turtles, I don't know. See, in subsequently I'll show you some photographs. Maybe other turtle, even if they hide their full body, some of the parts are still exposed outside. But in a box turtle, everything is taken inside the shell. So it becomes like a box. That is why it is known as box turtle. And why they can do so? Because there is a small hinge, this hinge like this, and they can bend it like this way, and they become a box, and they just go inside and you cannot find anything of them out. And this is a lovely, you know, anti-predatory behavior in them. But in other species, some hands or forelimb or hind limb will stay out. So predator may attack in them. But here they have more well-designed, you know, shell. So as I told you about feet, that in tortoises, and I'll not use the term tortoises, but land form and aquatic form. Basically, we will be dealing with species which are aquatic, which are terrestrial. Now, aquatic again have two type of aquatic, I believe. One is obligatory aquatic, like they will hardly come out of water, like soft shell, black soft shell, as Nathan told. They will come out, but not as much. Even in soft shell also, there are, I saw black soft shell even comes out of water more frequently than in comparison to peacock soft shell. then I'll show every photo of species that are present in India for you to see at least that you at the end you can say that I've seen 29 species. So this is the right one is a foot modification for a terrestrial life, and the left one is for my left is for this one is for aquatic life form. Okay, now I have shown you hard shell. Now this is how a soft shell looks. No scutes, nothing, only a blob, a leathery jacket, you can say. The jacket that we wear, everything is like that. And this is what is known as Indian flap shell, because in the femoral region, it will have this flap type structure. In other soft shell, they do not have such structure. So from that, we can only say that if I see this one, even if I don't see the dorsal surface of the turtle, by seeing this, I can say that, oh, this is Indian flap shell, because all the other soft shell, they will not have this structure. Okay, and this I have given some markings here. These are plastical callosities. Even if in your hands and feet, some portion get hard because of repeated pressure you are giving to pressure in those areas, they become hard. Similarly, this turtle, while it is sitting or moving, it is giving pressure to particular places which become hard, and these are the 7 spots in the flap shell which becomes hard. So even if I don't see the flap, if I only see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 such marking, I'll know it's a flap shell, because other soft shells will have 5 such markings, not 7. Okay. So you see, this is the flap shell and this is the soft shell. You see, soft shells like Nilsonia huram, peacock soft shell, they will not have this femoral flap. You see, no femoral flap. Here they are having femoral flap, and I told you here you have 7. Here I don't think it is very easy to see, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A better photograph if I have here, I may show you. Anyway, so now I will go to direct. These are all charts. I'll not go into too much detail. So these are like claws. You see how much enlarged claws. If these claws, act on you, you can feel, and it's a baby. So they really get very big, these soft shell claws. So turtles need to bask. So in temple pond that we have discussed, turtle, we need to provide them basking spot. In the name of beautification, many of the basking spots, what they do is, many of the basking spots, they remove all the bamboos and everything. So the turtles are not able to bask, and that's not great, because they are ectotherms, means they cannot regulate their own body temperature. They are dependent on heat from some sunlight, and they have to have a vantage point to do so. Okay, and turtle, lay lots of eggs, and from babies come out, and general process. Some of the photographs for you. So here I have shown you some of the turtle, because again I told I am biased little bit about Assam, and also there will be in each of the photographs there will be logo. One logo showing about Assam and one logo showing about Lord Vishnu avatar. That is Kurma avatar, one of the avatar of Lord Vishnu, which is a turtle-like avatar, Kurma avatar. So this means if you see subsequently this logo in any of the photograph, it means the turtle is present in temple pond. And if this logo is present, it means that turtle is present in a state of Assam. Okay. So let's see what are the 29 species. Will go one at a time. So once we go, you just see this one. I want you to see this one. And this is the map where it is available, and it is the name, the scientific name. This one, Batagur Baska, Northern River Terrapin, and who gave me the photograph. Either I took it or I borrowed it from someone. So you see, the most important thing you should notice while you are dealing with photographs, you should know that the highest group of problem that a turtle is in is extinct. Then there comes this extinct in the wild. So extinct in the wild are generally species which very few, nowadays I think black softshell was one species before this revision of IUCN Red List that was considered extinct in the wild. Now it is critically endangered because pocket population has been found in natural habitat. So critically endangered is one of the highest level of threat a species is facing. After critically endangered, you get endangered, and then you get vulnerable. Okay, so in the group of threatened species, critically endangered is the highest level of threat, and vulnerable is the lowest one. But that doesn't mean that we should not be careful about the species. So northern river terrapin, obviously, it is not found in Assam, but you see in Bangladesh and those area, West Bengal, already Nathan told you about Sundarban, it is there. But it is one of the rarest of the rare species and need very high level of, even in fact, Batagur, all the species are in the genus Batagur are critically endangered. So I come to the next one. Okay, this is, I think there is some mistake or I have to recheck this one. I keep it on hold, and if anybody can make me right if it is endangered or critically endangered, I have to just check it out. So again, not found in Assam, but very close to Assam. You see the map here. In your area, in West Bengal, it has distribution. There was a stray record from Assam in one temple pond, and people, have put it in the, list of species in Assam. But I do not think so, because temple pond, people bring turtles from long, far away. I'll tell you one story about that also with black softshell turtle. Then this is, this also Nathan has just had a word about Kachuga in their UP thing. So this is also a critically endangered species. So it is red crown roof turtle, Batagur, Kachuga. Now we come to the species which are very close to me because we get them in Assam and also in the temple pond. As I said, temple pond will be a priority for me. This is again the box turtle I told you, Cora ambonensis, Southeast Asian box turtle, which closes its lid, as I said. So this is Cora ambonensis, and it is found in Assam as well as in temple pond. Next one is again the congener, Cora mahuti. It is, see, something, though they are of same genus, but their habitat preferences really, really different. It is a terrestrial species, so as to speak. So hardly it will be found in water. All the time I have seen it is in the somewhere near the stream, of course, but not in the water. And this one is mostly in water. So though they are same genus, but habitat preference is quite different. So we have not recorded it from temple pond because it's a pond, but lots of record from Assam. And this is a species which concerns me, and I have been trying to work with it a bit. This is Assam leaf turtle, because of it is yet to be evaluated by IUCN, and we have initial data, and we are desperately trying to fund our research so that we can come up with a conclusion regarding what is their status. And we also believe that apart from Cyclamis gameli, there are other leaf turtles which were initially recorded but were later discarded, are still present there, which will increase the number of species of turtles, and which is a very positive sign. So which brings a revival a new, even if there is a new species hiding somewhere in this group, I would not be very surprised. So this is in Temple Pond is also present there. I forgot to put that logo because recently I have found it from Temple Pond. So this is Indian spotted pond turtle, so or spotted pond turtle. It is very beautiful looking species, and it is found in Temple Pond and Assam also. It's not that rare, but because of the particular habitat it prefers in this area, we are seeing that there is a sudden drop in their population size. So it was not very uncommon in Kaziranga area and all in Assam, but nowadays it's even Pangshura siletensis is seen more than these species at certain spots. So you see, always pay attention here. We are continuously dealing with species which are threatened. Not a single species till now which is not threatened. I mean vulnerable, endangered, critically endangered. Hardella thurji, quite a big species. It is only one record from a temple pond, and it is found. It was quite common in Kaziranga because lots of shells are still there in Kaziranga of this species, and I presume because a big species gives you lots of meat, so people are generally interested in this species to eat. So there are cases, and most of the species that we have eaten to extinction, most of those species, and when it comes to soft shell, it is even to a higher degree. Then we come to a tortoise, that landform. So this is the biggest tortoise, and Nathan already had pointed out their project regarding this, and obviously it will not be present in a temple pond. It's a huge one, and it's a forest dweller, and these are like scary sort of. They make noises from their vocal, pipes and some phenomena, and it's scary. It's really scary. The big ones really scares. So this is a Manuria amis or Asian forest tortoise. You see, again, critically endangered. This pain is never ending with tortoise and turtle. Then this is the one which was recently discovered from Northeast India, and it became the 29th species for India. After many years, a new turtle were added to Indian fauna. So that was a privilege thing, because we as a team found it, and Shailendra was a part of it, and we were very happy for a substantial period of time. So this is also a very beautiful looking, tortoise, and I think we need to do more genetic sampling. I was in a plan to do some of this work because I still believe it's not a typical impressed tortoise, so as to speak, but because of COVID and all, the work is hampered, but we hope that it will again start and will come up with good, results. So this is again yellow tortoise. This another tortoise that this is the third tortoise in the list. So the landform. So it's I found it in only one temple pond because the way the turtle come to temple pond because of the religious grounds. People just donate them to the temple thinking that it will bring good luck to them, but they cannot differentiate between landform and aquatic form, give everything to the temple pond, and by that means this also may have come to one of the temple pond, but this is a tortoise. And this is another species which is very endemic to the Western Ghats. So this is Travancore tortoise, Indotestudo travancoreica, vulnerable species. Then this is the most darling of all the tortoise. It's Indian. This photograph, please, I could not find because of my crashing laptop. Better picture. This is really ugly picture, and this is disgrace in the name of the the beautiful species that I have done. But for the next presentation, I will really try to bring up or borrow someone's photograph for this species. But please, in net there are really good photograph of this species. Go through those. This is Indian star. You see why it is called star. Then this is Tricarinate hill turtle. Again, if you remember, I told you 3 stripes. So here the name only is based on that 3 stripes. 1, 2, 3. Tricarinate hill turtle, Melanocalis tricarinate. Again, endangered species. It is found. It is more of a land dwelling, but again, for some reason, it was found in Temple Pond, and it is obviously found in Assam. Then Indian black turtle, Melanocalis trijuga. It is. I know it's there in Temple Pond, some Temple Pond, but I have not yet seen it. But it's quite common. But a subspecies is common in Assam. It has lot 1, 2, 3, 4 subspecies, I think, present in India. So near threatened. Near threatened, we are in a area that we feel little bit okay, sort of, but don't take it very, positively, because it's the group. We are not dealing with subspecies, because subspecies, if we go to that level, the story may change. Then this another species, Indian eye tortoise. Why it is known as eyed tortoise? Because in each shell you see such black markings looking like eyes. So this is why it is known as eyed tortoise. So I'm yet to find in a temple pond, but I know that there were some record in temple pond in past. But since I have started working in temple pond, I have not found it in single temple pond across Assam. So this is again Cane Vijayacalis sylvelica, endangered. It's again Western Ghat special. This is brown roof tortoise, Panchura smithi, near threatened. So I'll go a little fast. This species is again very interesting, and I feel very proud because my state's name is associated with it. And this is the first I got introduced into turtle with this species in 2012, because before that I was not that much interested, and there is Mohammed bin Zayed Species Conservation Gang funded me a project specifically for this species, and I'm very happy that that started my journey into the turtle world, and I'm still loving it. Then this is Indian 10 tortoise. See, this one has serration. Apart from this, none will have this in this genus. Will have this serration. Panchura tentoria, and this is Panchura tecta. Okay. Anybody who needs details, we can always come. You can come later, and we can discuss. I am always open to this type of thing. So now we need to hurry up a bit because we are dealing with a time constraint. So this is we have started soft shell here. So this is Indian narrow-headed soft shell, Tsa indica, very narrow-headed and very flat TV sort of turtle. Then this is flap shell, as I already told you. Then this is Ganges soft shell. Here this is peacock soft shell. And this one, that is the flagship species that we are dealing with now for the Assam, Pan-Assam, this Nilsonia nigricans, that we are doing joint collaborative work for captive breeding and etc. So these two look quite similar, and still today I find it hard sometimes to separate these two species. So there may be some adjusted error in population counting we need to look into. So I still have feeling that many peacock soft shell turtle were previously many black soft shell turtle were recorded as peacock soft shell. And I will tell you the story, if anybody, what is my presumption, at the end if anybody is interested to know. So this is Lithi, another soft shell that is not again in, this is in peninsular India, not this side. And this another species I am working and I am very interested. This is known as Amida Cartilagenia. But in Northeast population, I believe there may be some, some funny thing hiding, which will blow up your mind in coming time. So maybe we can come up with something very nice. So this is another soft shell, and this is another soft shell, the biggest one by far, Teleocalis cantori. I am yet to see this species actually, so I should not talk too much about it since I have not seen it. So I'll go to the last part, the importance of turtles or these lesser known animals. So if you see here, this is a Dahi Handi festival of Janmashtami in Maharashtra. So you see people stacking one above another, all to the top. Now, all the people down there, where is their focus? Focus is at the person at the top or somewhere in the middle. Anybody? Any answer? I'm asking. Yes. Yes, go ahead. I am saying that everybody is looking at which person? Person at the top or in the middle or at the bottom?
Top person.
Thank you. So person at the top. So thank you so much. So, and because he'll do this, he will break the handi and everything. But can you believe that he can stand there without support of all those in below him? He'll never be able to do so. So we have to respect and conserve all of those who is holding this person up there. This person will not be up there without the support of all those people, right? So my tiger can be here, but without all those, tigers cannot be there. So we need to give respect to all the animals and maintain this balance. In many ecosystems, turtles are keystone species. So many a time you have heard about keystone, but what is a keystone? In old days, such type of bridges were made or construction were made when cement was not there. So one stone took the load of every other stone. That stone is known as keystone. If you remove this stone, the whole structure will collapse. So that is what is known as keystone. And in many ecosystems, our turtles are keystone species. They help in nutrient cycle, as Chakravarti sir at very beginning said that from below they will dig and bring out the nutrients trapped inside the river beds, and they keep the water bodies clean because many turtle species, mainly soft shells, are scavengers. They eat dead. They are carrion eaters. Okay. So I was very much, as we are doing a lot of work on temple ponds. So these are the temple ponds that we have listed with turtle species in them. And one at the extreme left, you see West Bengal, your state. Can you name which temple pond it may be?
In West Bengal?
Yes.
Baneshwar?
Yes, exactly. So Baneshwar also have black soft shell turtle. But there is again a story. I'll not tell you the stories. Only if somebody reminds me at the end, then only the story will come. Because stories are the base of everything, right? So we will discuss that.
It was misinterpreted as peacock turtle, like that, something like that.
Yes, it was misinterpreted as peacock. One thing is that, but how black soft shell came to West Bengal is also an interesting thing. And that's a good point. So generally, biogeographically there was no population there. So it basically came because of a gift from Raja, because Baneshwar is the Coach Bihar, right? And Coach Bihar is the Raja of Coach Bihar has a good tie, or had a good tie with Raja of Assam, and I think there was a dock, there was a port, like when their boat ferry came, so there was a port in somewhere there. So as a gift, some black softshell were sent to the this Baneshwar. So these are small stories which may be right, may not be, but they tell you something about the history. So these are some of the species. These are some of the ponds that I wanted to show you, that where turtles are found. So these ponds are beautiful, they are great, but there are some problems in these temple ponds. That is why we have to work. Because most of the temple pond, in the name of beautification, the periphery of the pond is been made into concrete structure. Turtles cannot go up, they cannot lay eggs. These are the problems. And at the very initial start, I told you that basking spot are removed. They think that the pond should be absolutely clean without having anything, because the temple authority in temple pond, turtles are conserved not on biological ground, they are conserved on religious ground. So they are seen as a religious entity, and that is why they are saved there. So now we have to mix science with religion so that we come up with a better approach for conserving these beautiful centers. Because you are for sure, if you go to this temple pond, you will be able to see turtle. We just have to protect them and make the best out of it through captive breeding program. So these are some of the things that we saw. And then the most important thing that why we need to relocate the eggs was that most of the turtle laid their eggs in riverine silt. And riverine silt, it is very soft, they can dig 1 feet and lay egg. But in the temple pond, everything is clay. So they could not dig much. And since they could not dig much, they lay the egg at the very top and go away. Because of high temperature, worm infestation, these eggs started getting bad, and so on and so forth. So we need to collect and take care of the egg appropriately. Okay, here we did some of the public awareness program in one of the Ugrotara temple ponds, so that until and unless a handful of researcher, handful of people dealing with science cannot save a species or a group. Even a species we cannot save, let alone a group. So public participation should be there. And now public knows a language, and we are teaching them a language that they are completely unknown to them. Like if the public understand Hindi and I talk to them in Chinese, they will not understand. So we have to ditch the conservation package in such a way that they understand. So this type of art and these collages and things and activities, they like. So we broke the area, and we broke some of the sides, and we made we filled river and silt so that the turtle can go up. And we also made this 30 feet by 20 feet basking spot in Ugrotara, and we also installed a center for egg keeping in Ugrotara. And you see, once we did, and lots of turtles started basking on those bamboo meshes. So so as a result, we can happily show you these things, that eggs are there, then turtle babies are there, and these are all black softshell turtle. Extinct in the wild, it was an old slide, so it was kept like that. And with temple authority, we started releasing them into the wild. And the ball started rolling, and people started joining, and we started joining others, and it became a mission. And many organization, many media people also. And I must thank media, because of them, media plays a very important role. Now in Assam, if you come and at least say Bormuria Kaso, people can relate. So, oh, acha, we have seen that. Okay. So from here, our journey should start. So some of the references that we have used in this presentation, and thank you very much for your kind hearing. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
We do have a couple of questions, and I think few of them raised the hands also. But I think since we have kept the interaction session just at 7, so we will take it up then. Otherwise, I have also a good idea because, and of course, I should thank Dr. Purkasta, because from starting from simple, identification features and, the pictures. You are a really good, very good orator in my, very
Thank
nice.
you.
I really personally enjoyed, and I hope all others also. It's so interesting, the animal world, and the thing which you said, that the myopia thing, that we are focused on the mammals, why, and all those new concepts also I came to know. So thank you very much. And we'll please stay back. Again, I'm saying that the feedback form will be given at the end by my esteemed colleague, and the certificates will also be linked with that feedback form. So since Tiasha ma'am is here from the starting, so we are eager to hear to her also. And please keep your questions stored. So thank you, Dr. Purkasta. Now I will hand over the mic to my younger brother and my colleague, Dr. Shagur Acharya, who would be doing the needful to introduce Ms. Tiasha and her wonderful work. Shagur, please.
Thank you, Priyanka madam. This is my privilege to introduce a very young and enthusiastic conservationist and naturalist, Tiasha Addo. Very well known for last fishing cat project. Now, to briefly introduce her, she co-founded the Fishing Cat Project, the longest running research and conservation program on fishing cat, starting from 2010. She worked with multiple stakeholders like government agencies and non-government agencies. And he always pressurized the media and through various channels to portray the fishing cat conservation as one of the important aspects in and around West Bengal and as well as Odisha's. He also worked on Dudhwa National Park, and he received several awards for these conservation projects she undertook for the last few years.
Hello. Network problem.
Maybe due to a network problem. I just welcome Tiasha Addo for to deliver her talk on this program.
Thank you so much. It has been a great honor for me that I was called to this platform today. In fact, I've been listening to the talks and they have been very, very enlightening. So thank you for giving me this opportunity. Actually, right now I'm in Chilika. This is my field station. So I was thinking that I'll keep my video off while presenting so that there is no disturbance, because the internet connection is a little weak. So I will just, show the presentation. Let me know if you can see the screen.
Yeah, it's visible, ma'am.
Okay. Can you see the screen, the full screen?
I don't think the full screen, but just the sequence of slides we can see.
Okay, okay. And can you see it moving, the slides?
Can you do one thing? If you listen to
Yeah,
me, just
yeah.
go to the slideshow tab and
Mm-hmm.
then slideshow settings. Is it there?
Yes.
From
I'm clicking from the beginning,
yeah,
slideshow
no,
on the
no,
slideshow.
no, let it be. Just
Okay.
listen to me.
Yeah.
From there, do you have a tab setup slideshow?
Yes, yes, I do.
From setup slideshow, you have a dialog box there. You see there's a show type. You click on the browsed by an individual window.
Yeah.
Just
Okay.
check it and everything will be fine. You can start from
All
wherever you want. Okay.
Okay. Is it clear now?
You have to put in the PPT mode. Yes. Yeah, it's clear. No,
Okay, okay.
did you put in PPT mode?
Yeah. So
Yes, now
here.
it's clear.
Okay, okay.
It's clear.
Okay.
Please go
So
ahead.
thank you once again for guiding me, and I hope I'm audible. And whenever there is a problem, just let me know. As I mentioned, this is the field, so the connection is a little weak. So I hope I'm clearly audible right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, thank you so much. So it has been a very enlightening experience, like I said, and my talk happens to be on the fishing cat. And as we know, it is a flagship felid of wetland ecosystems. And so I wanted to begin with explaining why the fishing cat is important. Internationally, it is important both for research and conservation. Actually, according to a matrix which was developed by Zoological Society of London, the fishing cat is an EDGE species. EDGE is an acronym which stands for Evolutionarily Distinct and Globally Endangered, EDGE. So why is it unique in evolution? Now, we know that there are around 40 cat species in the world. Now, the felid family has evolved, very recently, and it has evolved very fast into all these 40 species. So, in fact, all cat species are ecologically, morphologically, and biologically very, very similar, except for two species of cats, which are wetland predators. These are the flat-headed cat, which is endemic to Southeast Asia, and the fishing cat, which is present in both South and Southeast Asia. So internationally, it is important because it is a wetland felid. It is unique in the cat family because 98% of cat members of wild cat species are terrestrial predators. But the fishing cat is unique in that sense. And we know that according to IUCN, it is also globally endangered. It belongs to the red list of threatened species. It is vulnerable. In India, it is a Schedule 1 species. That is, it is as important as the tiger and the elephant. It deserves conservation measures of the highest accord. Interestingly, West Bengal has adopted the fishing cat as its state animal. We know that Bengal is very rich in wetlands. It impacts our culture. So perhaps it is very fitting that we have adopted this very unique wetland specialist as our symbolic species. Importantly, and very importantly, it is a denizen of critically threatened freshwater ecosystems. Freshwater ecosystems are the most severely impacted ecosystem in the Anthropocene. It occupies less than 1% of the Earth's surface, but these critically important ecosystems provide habitat to 1/3 of vertebrate species and 10% of all species. Approximately 42% of 70 wetland dependent mammals are threatened with extinction, and fishing cats are one of these mammals. So, in fact, we have been working from 2017 in Chilica, which is Asia's largest brackish water lagoon. Here we have been identifying where the fishing cats occur, what is its status. And recently we have also conducted a density estimation of the cats in Chilica. So I thought I will present you some snippets of our work from Chilica. And many of the students who are listening in today had also taken part in the density estimation, which happened last year in March, April 2021. So just let me know if you're able to see the video.
Yes, ma'am.
Were you able to see the entire video? I hope it's streamed properly.
Yes, ma'am, absolutely.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, it has been a very, something which has been very educative for the entire team, because we have learned so much, of the fishing cat's ecology by being here. And we had also worked, as Sir mentioned in the beginning, in largely in the in the lower Gangetic floodplains as well as in Terai for a very brief amount of time. And based on all our experience together, we recently, put this manuscript out for publication. It is in the press. We have just submitted. But through this, we have been, we are trying to basically clarify the distribution of the fishing cat. Where is it found in the world? What determines its fundamental niche? And if anybody is interested in seeing this paper, bioarchive, and you can just enter the title which I have mentioned in the slide, and you'll be able to access the entire paper. So just to get back, without delving much deep into the technicalities, I'll just explain the results. So fishing cats are more or less found in all the major river basins of South and Southeast Asia, but are typically restricted to low elevation wetlands within these river basins. For example, the westernmost, the population of the fishing cat is found in the Indus Basin in Pakistan. And then we come into the Terai, the Brahmaputra floodplains, the Gangetic plains, and the Gangetic delta, which together form the Ganges-Brahmaputra basin, or the GBB in short. Then we find them in Mahanadi floodplains and delta region. And the southernmost population of the fishing cat in India is present in the Godavari Krishna delta. This is the southernmost population in India. So as you know, the Gangetic delta and the Gangetic plains is also shared between India and Bangladesh. So in South Asia, it is found in 5 countries: India, Pakistan, Nepal, India, Bangladesh, and Sri Lanka. Then we come to Southeast Asia. It is present in the Ayurvedi basin, the delta region specifically, in the Salween basin, all low elevation portions of these basins. Then the Chao Phraya river system in Thailand, Mekong floodplains and delta region, and in the Red River delta. So as you can see, it is South Asia that constitutes the core of the global fishing cat population in the world. So out of these regions, which are the ones which holds most promise for the fishing cat? So for example, which are the regions which constitutes more than 80% probable habitat for the fishing cat? You can see that part of the Indus Delta is there. Then we have parts of the Terai. We have very importantly the Gangetic Delta, which is the transboundary region shared between India and Bangladesh. We have the Gangetic Plains. We have parts of the Mahanadi. You can see Chilika here, where we just concluded our density estimation and we found a good number of fishing cats here. And also in the Godavari Krishna Delta, just coastal portions of this delta. And as you can see in Southeast Asia, there are very few promising habitat for the fishing cat. They are there, but South Asia is what constitutes the most promising zone. This is what determines whether fishing cats are going to persist in the future or not. So, and specifically for us from Bengal, which lies in the Ganges-Brahmaputra basin in the Gangetic Delta and floodplains, see how important it is for fishing cats. Next, so like I said, this is the portion which is very important for fishing cats. And by fishing cats, let us remind ourselves that they are restricted to the low elevation wetlands of these river basins. And low elevation wetlands are important for so many other creatures as well. Birds, turtles, of course, crustaceans, mollusks, and so many freshwater fishes. So we also tried to estimate how much of this habitat was lost to urbanization as a factor in the last 10 years. This is what we estimated. All the red areas is from where habitat has been lost in the last decade. 23% has been lost in the last decade itself. So in terms of connectivity, for example, which are the areas which are very important? Let me explain the maps, just bear with me. The first map, the map on the top, is what shows us, technically it is called least cost corridors, which means corridors which are taken by the animal to disperse, but it costs them something. What is costing them? Land use change. For example, there are vast swaths of wetlands, but if these are converted to cities, railway, roadway, then that land use will cost the animal. So the first map is showing us which are the areas, which are the regions which are very costly to the animal but very important for maintaining their dispersal and movement. You can see the light blue area is what is very important for maintaining fishing cat connectivity. But these have also been impacted by urbanization. That is why these are very costly to the animal. The second map below, shows us which corridors are basically seeing a lot of traffic, fishing cat traffic. So corridors which are being used by the fishing cat to travel. And you can see why Ganges-Brahmaputra basin, and more specifically, our geographical location, the Gangetic Plains, are so important. On the one hand, they are connecting fishing cat populations of the Terai to the Indian East Coast, and on the other, they are connecting the South Asian populations to Southeast Asia. So if you take out the Gangetic Plains, the populations from here, the habitat from here, you are losing connectivity within South Asia as well as between South and Southeast Asia. So just from by following or by tracking the fishing cat, we can imagine what is happening to our low elevation wetlands, which are so very important for not only animals and wild species, but also for us, because wetlands directly relate to climate change. Climate change directly impacts us. So in both these maps, we can see how important our geographical location is for the persistence of this species. Next, this kind of comes directly from the map before. The top map, the map on the top, shows high current flow in intensity, meaning current flow is nothing but species movement. The paths that are taken by the fishing cat to move from one place to another, or corridors, for example, very important connecting corridors of the fishing cat. The ones which are marked in red shows corridors which are very, very important. If you take them out, then you lose connectivity. Already a lot is lost. Sorry, just a second. And the map below gives us what is called pinch points or bottlenecks. So from the students who are listening in, can anybody explain what is a bottleneck? I think that it was covered in your syllabus, or if it is not, then I will explain. Am I audible?
Anyone from students, please respond.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, can you explain what is a bottleneck? Okay, so
Actually,
yes.
genetic diversity loss due to species, less number of species or species.
Okay, good attempt. I'll just try to explain why it might be so. Okay. Yes. Okay, let me try and explain so that it's like as a concept why it might be important. Good try, Shomudip and Proshun. So bottleneck, I'll just show you a bottle. Can you see the water? So imagine the water is the species and the bottle is the habitat that is available to the species for movement. Okay, and the bottleneck is exactly this. The habitat gets narrow, but the species has to move through this corridor to go to another habitat. Okay, so if you take this bottleneck off, then the connectivity between this habitat and this habitat is lost. The species cannot move through. So this is a bottleneck. Is it somewhat clear? And this can lead to a lot of the things that you mentioned, Shomudip and Proshun mentioned.
Yep.
Okay, so now look at this map below, and you can see all these red areas are what I just explained. All these are bottlenecks. This is where the habitat gets really narrow. The species has to move through this in order to keep connecting or keep dispersing to all the other habitats. So you can see where in the world the pinch points or the bottlenecks of fishing cat connectivity are there. And you can also see that the Gangetic Delta is again a pinch point or a bottleneck for fishing cats. If you take this portion out, you lose connectivity in the world for fishing cats. Next, we also tried to understand, so considering all this, which regions should be prioritized for fishing cat conservation? So where should we identify our priority conservation units. For this, we tried to look at small boxes of habitat which are there in the world. Okay, so all these are 100 square kilometer landscapes which are present, which has wetlands. And we tried to see where all these important wetland habitat is still remaining, which is kind of, all of these are impacted by development, by land use change, etc., etc. But which are the ones which are relatively less impacted, but very, very important for fishing cat conservation? What we found is that, the Ganges-Brahmaputra basin, which is all this area, has a lot of these priority conservation units. And as you can see, they're also occurring side by side, which means the habitat is kind of, there is kind of a continuity, kind of a contiguity. And secondly, the Indus Basin in Pakistan is also very important. See, there are 13 and 14 numbers of priority conservation units. So South Asia also has very important priority conservation units, habitat patches, which are important for maintaining global fishing cat populations. In comparison, see how less the amount of priority conservation units there are in Southeast Asia. So these are two different scenarios. The first scenario explains good habitat, but least impacted or relatively less impacted by development. So there are 17 priority conservation units in Ganges-Brahmaputra basin and 13 PCUs or priority conservation units in the Indus basin. So when you add them up, it comes to 30. But in Southeast Asia, there are only 11. In the second scenario, all these are priority conservation units, which are very, very important habitat for fishing cat. Here also you can see there are so many in South Asia. Ganges-Brahmaputra basin has the highest number, followed by Indus basin. See, Southeast Asia is so poor because so much of it has already been lost. Coastal wetlands of Southeast Asia has been severely hampered because of shrimp cultivation, prawn, export market. These are sounding death nails for fishing cat in Southeast Asia. Now, the river basins of South and Southeast Asia with predicted fishing cat occupancy are also among the biggest freshwater fish producing regions, with the Ganges, Brahmaputra, and Mekong. Mekong is very important. Mekong featuring among the top 7 basins to contribute to 50% of the global freshwater fish catch, which supports the livelihood of millions locally and provides nutrition globally. Now, these basins, what are these basins? What is the main prey of fishing cat? Fish. And what are these basins? Very good prey base landscapes for fishing cat, right? Now, these basins are prey-dense, wet landscapes for fishing cat, yet these are facing above average stress levels from the compounding effects of dams, pollution, overexploitation, climate change, resulting in catastrophic declines in wild freshwater fish populations. A third of the world's freshwater fishes are threatened with extinction, and 80 species are already extinct. 80 species are already extinct. So to state that freshwater fishes in the developing Asian economies are being similarly, if not more severely affected, will not be an overstatement. And throughout its global distribution range, and remember, 90% of fishing cat populations lie outside the purview of protection, outside protected area network. 90% fishing cats distribution lies outside protected area networks. And it is here that wetlands are being lost rapidly. And I just mentioned how rapidly we are also losing freshwater fishes. So here is a species which is affected by not only habitat loss, but by prey loss. Its primary prey is being lost. So it is being affected by both habitat loss and prey loss. And it is here that wetlands are being subjected to diversion to meet development objectives. In our country, fishing cat habitat like marshlands are designated as wastelands, even though they are wetlands. In Cambodia, regulations are being weakened to allow diversification of mangroves for other purposes. So this is the current scenario. It is critical. So I'll just move on. And specific to the Ganges Brahmaputra basin, specific to our geographic location, this is a common sight that we see. Extensive swaths of marshland, wetlands are being converted for urbanization, industrialization. This is what we see. These are all marshlands, very, very important aquatic plants, which give home to hundreds of crustaceans, millions of mollusks. These, in fact, are food for fishes, birds. All this is being converted to see what? Intensive aquaculture. So this is the level of loss that is happening as we speak. And the fishing cat, as I mentioned in the beginning, it's just a representative of what is happening to hundreds of other animals. It's a flagship mammal. And we have, if we want to conserve, we can actually look to devise conservation strategies to conserve this cat, so that as an umbrella species, it can highlight and conserve thousands of other animals. With research and conservation action mostly having a terrestrial and marine focus, the perspective of freshwater ecosystems have been grossly underrepresented, impeding fund allocation and contributing indirectly to their high rates of loss. Dearth of basic information, such as distribution and status of many freshwater species, has resulted in a lack of focused, broad-scale conservation plans. How many freshwater mollusks do we know, and what do we know of their status? Do we know anything? We know, but we are still in the process of knowing so many other things about them. So given the need to highlight the disproportionately threatened and critical status of freshwater biodiversity, scientists prescribed the adoption of flagship species to promote and motivate public and political engagement. And in this context, fishing cat was found to have an above average appeal among the general public. This was published in a scientific research paper. And devising range-wide strategies to conserve this hypercarnivore and top predator may benefit the ecological community it represents, as well as the critical habitat it inhabits. These wetlands are not only home of wild animals. This is what sustains us as a species. These are the carbon sinks which are so important for climate change. These are water reservoirs. These are our nutrient food baskets. If these wetlands go, what will happen to us? So this is not only wild animal habitat, this is our future as well. So the fishing cat is not only a representative of the diverse ecological community that it coexists with, but it also mirrors what is going to happen to us if its habitat goes. So with this, I end my presentation. Thank you so much. And I would love to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you so much, Tsa ma'am. And it's really a dedication that you have been behind this, the whole system. Like, it's very true, and it's so beautifully that you have brought out the essence of the flagship animal, that how important it is to not only conserve this animal, but along with it the whole ecosystem there and the other animals. And also the work what you are doing, it's not so easy. So all the best for that. And you are also an inspiration to all my students, and especially women like me, that people earlier used to think that the field words and all these are gender specific. Males, they go and delve in the field. But today we have seen that from TSA also we have very energetic women, and also you are a icon to us. And I hope my students, girl students, would be more and more inspired by you. So going to the technical part, so we can take the questions. If you have any immediate question regarding to the fishing cat, you can someone can ask Tiyasha ma'am, or we can take up some of the questions which have already been accumulated in the chat box. Do you have any questions? Yeah, Soumya, do you have any question regarding fishing cat or Tiyasha ma'am's presentation?
Yes, I have a question.
Yeah, Soumya dev, carry on.
হ্যাঁ, তিয়াশাদি, যেটা কয়েকদিন ধরে লক্ষ্য করছি যে যেটা লোকাল যে স্ট্রিট ডগগুলো হয় পাড়ায়, তো স্ট্রিট ডগের সংখ্যা যতটা বেড়ে গেছে, তো ওদের সঙ্গে জাঙ্গল ক্যাট বা এশিয়ান পামসিভেটের কনফ্লিক্ট দেখতে পাচ্ছি। এবার যেসব পুকুরগুলো আগে ফিশিং ক্যাট আমরা দেখতে পেতাম, সেই সব জায়গাগুলো আর ফিশিং ক্যাট দেখতে পাচ্ছি না। এটা কি একটা কারণ হতে পারে যে স্ট্রিট ডগগুলো বেড়ে গেছে এই জন্য, যে ওদেরকে তাড়া করছে বা কনফ্লিক্ট হচ্ছে এই কারণে, বা এটা কি ঠিক? মানে
হ্যাঁ, অ্যাকচুয়ালি ডোমেস্টিক ডগ যদি বেড়ে যায় এবং তারা যখন একটা অ্যানিমালকে ছেকে ধরে, তখন ডেফিনেটলি এটা অনেক জন্তুর পক্ষেই দেখা গেছে যে ওয়াইল্ড অ্যানিমালের পক্ষে ডোমেস্টিক ডগের বেড়ে যাওয়াটা একটা ডেফিনেট থ্রেট। এবারে দেখতে হবে যে সেখানে হ্যাবিট্যাটটাও কি যথেষ্ট পরিমাণে আছে, নাকি সেটাও খুবই প্যাচি হয়ে গেছে। কারণ প্যাচি হয়ে গেলে অ্যানিমাল আর পালিয়ে যেতে পারবে না, মানে তাকে ঘিরে ধরার একটা সুযোগ থাকে। প্যাচি হ্যাবিট্যাটের সাথে ডোমেস্টিক ডগ, এটা একটা মেজর থ্রেট। সব জায়গায় দেখা গেছে এই ক্ষেত্রে তার থেকে বিভিন্ন মানে বিচিত্র কিছু বা বিক্ষিপ্ত কিছু হওয়ার কথা নয়। তো হতে পারে যে এই সমস্ত জায়গায় যেখানে আমরা এমনিতেই দেখতে পাচ্ছি জলাভূমি অনেকটা সংকীর্ণ হয়ে পড়ছে এবং ছোট ছোট জায়গায় সীমাবদ্ধ হয়ে যাচ্ছে, সেখানে তার সাথে কুকুরের বেড়ে যাওয়াটা ডেফিনেটলি একটা প্রবলেম। এবং সেটা হতেই পারে। ইভেন দো পাকিস্তান থেকে একটা ন্যাচারাল হিস্ট্রির অ্যানেকডোট আছে, যেখানে একটা মেল ফিশিং ক্যাটকে 3টে কুকুর মিলে তাড়া করছিল। ও কিছুক্ষণ পালিয়েছে এবং দেখেছে যাতে ওরা চলে যায়। যখন দেখছে যে চলে যাচ্ছে না, ও স্ট্রেট ঘুরেছে, একটা থাবার বাড়িয়ে দিয়েছে, তাতে একটা কুকুরের চোয়াল ভেঙে গেছে, আর একটা কুকুর ওইখানেই মানে ইনজিওর্ড, মানে যথেষ্ট ভালোভাবে ইনজিওর্ড হয়েছে, এবং থার্ড কুকুরটা পালিয়ে গেছে। কিন্তু সেখানে কি হয়েছে, সেখানে নিশ্চয়ই এটা একটা ফ্যাক্টর যে তার নিশ্চয়ই পালিয়ে যাওয়ার বা তার একটা কনফিডেন্স ছিল যে আমি এটা করতে পারবো। একটা অ্যানিমাল যদি কর্নার্ড হয়ে যায়, যেখানে তার পালাবারও পথ নেই এবং একটা কুকুরের ঝাঁক তাকে ঘিরে ধরছে, সেখানে হয়তো আমরা এটা দেখতে পারবো না। ফিশিং ক্যাট একটা পাওয়ারফুল অ্যানিমাল, তাকে খুব সহজে দমন করা যায় না। কিন্তু দেখতে হবে তো যে সে কার সাথে যুদ্ধ করছে এবং কতগুলো ফ্যাক্টরের সাথে একসাথে যুদ্ধ করছে। সেই ক্ষেত্রে নিশ্চয়ই ডোমেস্টিক ডগের বেড়ে যাওয়াটা, স্ট্রিট ডগের বেড়ে যাওয়াটা একটা প্রবলেম। So in English, I'll just say for those who are listening in, if at all, are stray dogs a problem? Yes, they are for wildlife in general, and as well as for the fishing cat.
আর একটা কোশ্চেন ছিল, যেটা বর্তমানে আমরা দেখতে পাচ্ছি গ্রামাঞ্চলে যে 100 দিনের কাজে একটা ট্রেডিশন। তো এটাতে হচ্ছে কি ম্যাক্সিমাম জলা জঙ্গলগুলো পরিষ্কার করে চাষযোগ্য জমি বা অন্য কোনো বাগান বা এরকম কোনো একটা জিনিসের রূপান্তর দেওয়া হচ্ছে। তো এর ফলে দেখছি যে অনেক হ্যাবিট্যাট প্রচন্ড পরিমাণে খুব কুইক লস হচ্ছে। তো এটার এগেনস্টে কি করা যায়, বা এটা কি আমাদের বিশেষ করে ফিশিং ক্যাটের ক্ষেত্রে যথেষ্ট একটা থ্রেট?
So basically, intensive agriculture is as much a threat to fishing cats as intensive aquaculture. জমির পর জমির জলাভূমি যদি পরিবর্তিত হয়ে যায় ইন্টেন্সিভ এগ্রিকালচারে, তাহলে কি হচ্ছে? তার খাদ্য সে কোত্থেকে পাবে, তার বাসস্থান সে কোত্থেকে পাবে, কতটা সে দূরে পালাতে পারবে, কতটা সে পথ অতিক্রম করে তারপরে তার হ্যাবিটেটে রিচ করতে পারবে, এটা একটা সত্যি প্রবলেম। এবং দেখা গেছে researchers have estimated that in the Terai, 98% of Terai's grasslands, wetland grasslands, মানে এগুলো সব জলাভূমি, জলাঘাস যেখানে ছিল, কাশবন বা নলবন, হোগলাবন যেখানে ছিল, 98% of Terai's these type of grasslands have been converted for intensive agriculture, and this is devastating for these kind of species, for these kind of wetland species. It's definitely a threat.
Thank you.
আমার একটা কোয়েশ্চেন ছিল।
Thank you. Yeah, I would interrupt since this is an international webinar. So
Exactly.
Questioning and answering. Yeah, Sagar?
Requesting student to ask in international language, so can other listeners from can understand what is Tsa is actually explaining. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Hello, Tsa.
Hello.
My question is, as West Bengal is a human-modified landscape for fishing cats, so how we involve the local people and how we initiate the conservation work if anyone student is interested to do something for the habitat of fishing cat or work for the fishing cat with the local people involving, because the local landscape is very much involved in West Bengal. So what they should do, what I should do for this, my question. Thank you.
So one thing is habitat is something, or habitat conservation or conversion is something which is determined by policies. In our country, there is a contradiction in policies. On the one hand, we have wetland rules, our wetland laws, which signify or which say that this type of wetlands are wetlands, they should be protected. On the other hand, we have a set of development policies which state that these wetlands are wastelands, so convert them for agriculture, convert them for aquaculture, do whatever, convert them. So in the same country, we have a set of contradictions. Wetland, or are these wastelands? So as students, we should increase our ecological data so that we can go to the court and support litigations with our data sets. This is one thing that we should do. Secondly, as scientists, researchers, we should not only stop at, this is not a time to just do science. This is also a time to speak up, to advocate. This is what we should do. We should talk to people. We should talk to policymakers. We should write. Each and every voice counts. Thirdly, what can we do to involve local people, local communities? Very interestingly, some of these wetlands, most of these wetlands are used by local communities. These are very, very important for giving them livelihoods. So, for example, in Howrah district, for example, people use wetland reeds as a source of their livelihood. So we should strengthen, the voices of these local people as well. We should seek for socio-ecological conservation movements. We should highlight how these ecosystems are essential for both wildlife and for local communities, people, and societies at large. This is what we should do. We should converse with people, we should engage with multiple stakeholders, and we should use multiple ways of engagement.
Yeah, Tsa, I really agree, because now conservation is not a pure science. It is a socio-ecology, and human beings, be it at any strata, they should get together, and even a layman can make a difference. So I really agree with you, and this is one of the motto of this webinar. Like we should join hands together. Thank you so much. And
Thank you.
yeah, Arunima, Ibtishamun, since you are in touch with the Tiyasha ma'am, you can continue asking her impassively also, Arunima. So can we take up the other questions? Yeah. We had wonderful talks of Nathan also, and Jayaditya sir also. So maybe you can start. Do anyone of you have any questions regarding the first two lectures, please? Okay, so Arunima, can we take a few from the chat box? I also thank Jinuk because she gave a good example. I mean, she defined in the chat box about the genetic bottleneck, which Tiyasha ma'am was explaining. Antarip Bera, he asked that there was a hinge on the mid dorsal part of Punctula tecta. Any reason for that?
Okay, I think
Yeah, Jaditya sir is there. You can also, like any one of you or both of you can switch on your videos, please, because people, want to see.
So Jaditya sir, you want to
Yes.
take up this question?
Okay, again, just a question again.
The question was, why does the, yeah, Arunima, go ahead.
Okay, as far as I know, that's not a hinge, that's a keel. So I told that some species will. It is echoing. I can hear back my sound anyway. So many species will have. I can hear my voice again.
Arunima has logged in from two devices. You can mute anyone. Okay.
Okay, now it's better. So the thing is that some species will have such type of keels in the dorsal region. These are keels, and some species. These are some identifying features or landmarks for certain species of having one keel. Some will have three keels. So basically, what I presume from the question was this is we are discussing about the keels rather than the hinges that is in the plastral region.
Okay, Arunima, the next one.
I think Arunima just got disconnected.
Okay.
No, I'm here, but I'm not able to read the questions. So can you?
Yeah, I'll then ask them. One of our audience and researchers here, she says that it's not actually questions. Srinjana, if you're here, you can ask it yourself, or should I read out? Srinjana is not here. She said that she has seen many temple ponds, turtles in temple ponds in Sambalpur. And the local people told that when turtles start creating damage to croplands, they catch and leave those in temple ponds instead of killing or doing them. So I think she might be wanting to know that really do turtles harm to the croplands?
See, turtle may dig. They may dig the soil for laying eggs, and because they are secretive animals, so they will move around the crops. So, but then I don't think they will that there will be such a big harm. So generally, wherever I have gone, this is the first narrative that I have heard about where because they are harming crops, they are kept, they are released in temple pond. But the notion is as such, when a child is born, generally people think that the turtle lives for 300, 400 years. That is a general notion, which is not the case for most of the species. So they believe that, and when a child is born, they somewhere they get a turtle and release it into the temple pond and pray that the child born gets a age of turtle and the child lives long life. So Sambalpur, I just noted it down. Maybe I'll just check about it. Can she tell me which temple pond in Sambalpur she has seen?
Is Srinjana still there? Or I know her. I'll ask her and let you know later on.
Please, it will be very helpful.
Prasun, why don't you speak up your own question?
So actually, I have a question. What is the actual situation of freshwater turtle field survey in West Bengal, except Sundarban?
See, what I know of, because those who work in field of turtle throughout India, we are connected through a network, and we know, most of us know each other. And if somebody is doing some unorganized study, that I don't know, but most of the studies that are being done under some umbrella, and most of the studies are done as such. So there, what I believe is, apart from Sundarban, pan West Bengal, there is a lack of organized study of turtles. Even you can say at certain degree amphibians and reptiles. If more detailed survey is being done, there will be many new species to science uncovered, mainly in the northern Bengal side, North Bengal side. What I am trying to say, because there is a diversified habitat where you are going from sea level to high hills. So there is a lot of opportunity that people can look into.
In the meanwhile, is Nathan with us? I have a different question.
I'm here.
Just the social. Yeah, hi. So the thing is, like in India, you have been to India, I know, and I worked with Arunima and TSA team. But in West Bengal, what I find is, I'm sorry to say that people, they have a big tongue for turtles. So they have, whenever they see it, they catch it, eat it, and that's why it's a big problem. So, what is the scenario there at your place? Like, do people have a good palate for turtles, or is it easy to convince people not to kill them there at your place, Nathan?
Yeah, people don't really eat them that much in the United States. It used to be a more commonplace, but food is mostly to like domesticated animals, like almost predominantly, chicken, beef, pork. So people don't eat turtle very much. It's a lot more common in Central and South America. But even there, it's more of focused on the eggs and not actually the turtle meat itself. There's still some sustainable harvest left in the United States for turtle meat. It's still allowed in the Southeast, but still people don't really eat it in the numbers that they do, like for China, right? And so that's where it's hard to sustain it, because the number of people that are consuming it in places like China is so much higher that it's unsustainable.
Okay, thank you. Arunima, did you get the latest question someone posted right now in the chat box?
Do turtles come back to nest on the same place they were hatched? Okay, so with the freshwater turtles, there are predators are also Nathan and Haslip is also here. There are some evidences even in Batagur Kachuga where female use the same nesting place, but it's not like where they hatched and they come back on at same place for the nesting. So there's no study has been done. I don't know if it's done in US or somewhere else. Nathan, do you have any idea?
So yeah, site fecundity doesn't seem to be very prevalent in freshwater turtles like it is in marine turtles. So marine turtles, oftentimes the adults will come back to the exact same place that they were born in. In freshwater turtles, it's oftentimes more correlated with because they're in the same area. So, you know, marine turtles will travel hundreds and hundreds of miles, but they'll come back. A riverine turtle occupies a very similar area where it was already originally raised, but it doesn't necessarily come back to the exact same place like a marine turtle, at least the studies that I know of. But also in Asian turtles, we don't really know yet because there's not been enough studies. Jaiditya, you'd be probably more of a expert on the field stuff related to that.
And so I don't think, because it's just a coincidence maybe, because when you take the area traveled by the sea turtles and the fraction of error you add to that, and then when you take the inland species like freshwater, which are predominantly living in a small area, and they coming back, it's just maybe a coincidence or site selection. Just a specific site selection. So, and most importantly, I think there is no data to support whatever we claim, because in sea turtle there is a great data available. So now the problem, why do you have so much data on sea turtle? Because sea turtle, somebody from Mexico is studying the same species, somebody from Australia is studying the same species, India is also studying the same species. So one species, global effort is being invested, where even for these soft freshwater, local effort is not invested, let alone global effort. So the data is so much less. So based on that data, no conclusion could be drawn.
Yeah, there's another question for Nathan. What does the freshwater turtles prefer any specific vegetation? Does it prefer, I mean, is it vegetation specific or is it species specific? Abhishek
Sure.
does.
So it's really more of a species specific. So each species will occupy a different area. Like those large soft shells aren't really going to occupy vegetation as much as like a hardella or a geoclimes. Those are more of a slow moving. They like higher vegetation, like floating aquatic vegetation. They like to hide under. So each species has its own preference. So in general, it just depends on the exact species. Freshwater turtles includes a huge amount of species, and they're so different. It's like saying, do all felines eat the same meat? They eat meat, but it just differs because they're so different. So species of turtles, although we kind of lump them together as freshwater, they're still different types, whether they're riverine or more like slow moving water, or even just temporary pond type animals. So that's kind of my answer.
Yeah, even I second you, because it's like birds, different species eat different vegetation and seeds and all that. So it's same with the turtles also.
Okay, I have a small request, Abhishek, please anyone elaborate the survey techniques, or then though, what we can do is for specialists who survey technique in 5 minutes, I think isn't it even it's quite tough. And Ordhendu, I personally know he had reported a Morenia pittersi from one of the part of Midnapur, and they had published it, but it was only a single species, so its presence was dubious. Maybe I even talked to Shelendra sir, and he said it's probable that someone who was trafficking it was had left it. So these are all things too. And I also support Jaditya sir's thing that there are so less, this part of research and survey is very understaffed, isn't it? We have very less people working in this area, and all these questions are almost unanswered. So if you permit, can our speakers share their email IDs in the chat box, because since we have limited time and a few people are very much interested, and some are might be shy, they may contact you later on. So they can either contact us at the help desk number, which will be shared in the feedback link, or directly to our speakers, so that we can definitely interact later on. Is it, Arunima? So we are always there. And Professor Chakraborty, so we are going to, I'm sorry to end it right now, but do you have any comment or anything which you want to say? Unmuting yourself, please. And then my colleague, Professor Dr. Mandal, he is ready with the.
Okay, Priyanka, thank you very much for coordinating the entire session. I am really thankful to all those speakers, especially Nathan Haslip sir. I really enjoyed your talk very much. You were far away from this place. You tried your best to apprise us, highlight many different dimensions of the turtle research. And we are very much encouraged and develop enthusiasm to undertake such kind of venture along with you in course of time, if anything permits us. Along with Dr. Your Purokasto, really I am overwhelmed by your photographical skill to depict the different diversified group of turtles. Wonderful photographs with some good characters, scientifically sound. So I'm really happy to get a person like you who has explored not only by himself different niche and habitat of the turtles, but also been able to apprise us with the diversified world of the turtles. 29 different species of turtles are there in India. So it is really overwhelming, but they are under threatened. Most of them are threatened. That is another important information. So it is the time for all of us to join hands to do something not for the protection and conservation, and not only by ourselves only. We shall have to find out the avenues in what way we can involve the local people, local people developing the awareness, so that this conservation may become much more sustainable, holistic, integrated, and fruitful and successful. So this is about the turtles, and I am really overwhelmed by the very nice talk by your Tiasha Adda. Okay, congratulations from my side, Tiasha. Go ahead with your own skill. I'm really excited to and wanted to be a part of with you in the different niche and habitat of the Chilka Sundarbans. I am a hardcore naturalist. I consider myself as a naturalist, and I roam here and there in the different corners of the Sundarbans and different wetlands of India. Within a very short time, I'm happy to present all of you a wonderful book on the wetland, to be published by the Springer. Just a minute.
Sure. It will be an honor, sir. Thank you so much.
Just a minute. I am in my home. This is a voluminous book I have published. Riverian ecology, from where you can have the idea about the turtles as well as what is fishing cats, along with other specific materials as the wildlife along the riverian tract of India. This has been published recently by the Springer in USA about a large book on the riverian ecology. So this is all about the things. This is the platform. Okay, we have been longing to have this platform for a long time, so that we can exchange our views, our different type of deliberation, presentation, especially all those things certainly will motivate our students, our next generation, to undertake lot such kind of works for the conservation. So instead of making so much such comments, it is better to sum up. So I must congratulate all of you to be here, and you have done your job in a very nice manner. As a senior professor of this university and head of the department, I again extend my heartfelt thanks and other things to all of you to make the session, make the seminar very successful. So it is the time, I think, Priyanka, to offer a vote of thanks to sum up the entire your seminar session. And in course of time, we will keep touch with each other through email, through other mode of things. Okay, I think our Vidyasagar University, if we can develop under the auspices of the Department of Zoology, getting the support from our very supportive Vice Chancellor presently, Professor Shivaji Pratim Bosu, and our Dean, who was the inaugurator of the session, Professor Satyajit Saha, and we will be able to consolidate our inter strength to just drive our game into one mission, to save our nature, along with its wild counterparts. Okay, thank you very much to all of you.
Yes, I'm so sorry for the questions which are left unanswered, but we'll take them up. Two things I have my question posted that I'll discuss with Nathan and Jaditha later, that how to involve local people with the ashram. I'm also, how did you involve them? I'll talk to you separately in some free time. And also, Nathan, I find that, when I go to Google and search for turtles, more sites and images come as pets and where, and apart from, it's really a taboo. So let it not answer it here, but we'll, or we can have a collection of a bunch of, turtle interested researchers, and then we can, join with you sometime later on if you wish to, and discuss these details issues, which Arunima said cannot be answered in this limited time. So thank you. And I would call upon my colleague, Dr. Biplab Mondal, to kindly offer the vote of thanks and also release the feedback link, which the people are eagerly waiting for. Sir, you are muted, please. Kindly unmute yourself. Shagar, would you like to add something? Jaditya sir, Shagar, he is engaged in genetic special paper right now in department, but he has a versatile end also. He is a very good wildlife photographer and specifically bird photography. So
great.
I think there's some technical problem with Dr. Mandal. I think he'll rejoin. And Arunima, thanks to you and Saurav also, because you are our strength, you guys. Yeah, Shagar, you want to say something?
No, I think Biplab might be accidentally removed himself. Just wait for a minute. He'll join. I personally congratulate and thank Tiasha and all her team for excellent work she is doing in this field, and she actually make these fishing cat and bug roll in limelight actually in this current scenario. I really thank her for this excellent work.
Thank you, sir. I was very lucky to work with an excellent team, and all God's blessings. I hope I'm able to do justice to the species which has given me a purpose in life. Thank you so much for inviting me. It has been an honor, true honor.
Thank you.
Yeah, many more participants. Biplabda,
Hello,
you're here? Yeah, you're audible, please.
Hello. Yeah.
But we cannot see
sorry
you.
about the technical problem. Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay. So thank you, Priyanka. So on behalf of the organizing committee, I deem it a great honor and privilege to propose the vote of thanks on this international webinar. I take this opportunity to especially express my deep regards and gratitude to our Honorable Vice Chancellor and Chief Patron of this international webinar, Professor Shivaji Pratim Basu, for always encouraging us and providing opportunities to organize such a wonderful event. Thank you, sir. I extend my hearty thanks to the Dean Faculty of Science and inaugurator of this webinar, Professor Satyajit Saha, to take out time from his busy schedule to grace the event. Thank you, Professor Saha. I am expressing my thanks and gratitude from core of my heart to the head of the department and president of this webinar, Professor Sushanta Kumar Chakraborty, and other departmental colleagues for their valuable suggestion to make this program successful. I am thankful to Dr. Shelinder Singh, Director, Turtle Survival Alliance India, and the whole team of TSA for collaborating us in this international webinar. My heart fills with lots of gratitude and respect for our distinguished speaker, Mr. Nathan Haslip, former Facility Manager, Turtle Survival Center, Tennessee, United States, for not only sparing his valuable time for us to grace this webinar, but also for enlightening us with his commendable talk on this subject. Thank you, sir, once again. I am also thankful to our distinguished speaker, Dr. Joyaditya Purokayastha, General Secretary, Health Earth, and member IUCN Tortoise and Freshwater Turtle Specialist Group, for being present here and deliver his talk. Your speech was so thought-provoking and really made us think. Thank you, sir, once again.
Thank you.
And I would like to express my gratitude and thanks to another distinguished speaker, Ms. Tsa India, Joint Secretary, Human and Environment Alliance League, Hill, and member IUCN Species Survival Commission, for her wonderful deliberation. Your speech was truly inspiring. It kept us spellbound, and it inspired us and hope a lot is going to come up after this speech. Once again, I express my gratitude for such an inspiring talk. Thank you, madam, once again. No event can take shape without a hardworking team. It was the dedication and enthusiasm of our young conveners of this webinar which made this event a huge success. I extend my heartfelt gratitude for them. My deep sense of appreciation and thanks to all the participants who attended this webinar with great enthusiasm and made it a successful one. Last but surely not the least, I thank the technical support team for their constant help. I sincerely apologize if I have missed out on somebody. Thank you everyone once again for making it a grand success. And one thing that all the participants are requested, kindly to submit the filled up feedback form which will be available after completion of this webinar, and it is mandatory to get your e-certificate. Thanks to you. Thank you once again to all. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mandal. Can you share the link here in the chat box? Is it possible? And while he does that, I thank my team, my scholars, Prashun, Abhishek, Abhik, and also from TSA, Arunima and Saurav, especially, and also Prabhash Singh, for, selflessly supporting the cause, and of course the EDCC, the Computer Center, whose technical support we are, we are able to relay the whole thing and record it. So we will also be having the video recording soon, which we will be sharing the link after it has been uploaded. So Biplab sir, would you be able to share the link here, or?
Priyanka, just at the end.
Yes, sir, please.
At the end, I just like to make one comment that I am really tempted to see all the distinguished persons in the screen, but I am not satisfied with all the things. So in course of time, in future, Mr. Purukasto and Nathan Haslip and Tiasha, along with other noted personalities in the Indian perspective, we will organize some 3 days international seminar, okay? That then by physical, not by this online mode, so that the scientists can have the chance to pay visit not only to our university campus. Our campus is surrounded by a diversified form of ecosystem, the plainland ecosystem, forest ecosystem, coastal ecosystem, wetland ecosystem, so many type of ecosystem, wasteland ecosystems, and which are supported by local indigenous people, So in that session, we can organize 2 days continuous seminar along with 1 day field trip. In that way, we can think about. So it is my desire. In course of time, we shall try our best to crystallize it, materialize it, and if you get your support from your own side. So that is about my wish as a senior most professor of this university as well as the department. And I am just really hopeful if we can consolidate the strength of our younger colleagues, we will be able to do these things in future. Thank you very much for my. I just expressing my wish for the future. Okay, Tiasha. Okay, Dr. Mr. Purukasto. Namaskar. Namaskar.
Namaskar.